Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on June the 4th, 2016. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, Captain Grumblepants.
Caffeine Rage.
And this week, our special resident expert on Overwatch porn.
Kyle.
On today's show, we will be discussing the games we've played, the legalities of said Overwatch porn. 7 months on, Valve's Steam machines seem to look dead in the water. The French government wants a sexist tag on video games. Is there an actual maximum frames per second that the human eye can see? And our weekly community corner. What is up, gentlemen?
What the hell am I doing here on a Saturday night?
I don't know. Kyle, what are we doing here on a Saturday night?
Well, I'm not going to be in town on y'all's normal recording night.
So we're doing this
Well,
on
technically,
Saturday.
Jared wasn't going to be either.
You know what? Fuck it. We'll do it live.
Oh, that
Going
joke
it
never
live.
gets old. For all you out there in listening land, we've only made that joke like 20 times before we started recording.
And it's still funny.
It's still
If
funny.
it's funny enough once, it's funny enough to grind into the cement.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I was going to be gone Tuesday night anyway, so Rage and I were going to have to record Sunday or Monday. And then Kyle comes along and is like, hey, I want to talk about porn with you guys. And Saturday worked best for him, so.
Yeah, we are really trying to fight off that child-friendly tag, aren't we?
Absolutely.
The fuck we are.
We just put all the porn on our show. All the delicious, wonderful porn. So, where are we? I completely forgot.
Well, I'm in Michigan. I don't know about you guys.
Well, we're doing it live.
Yeah,
Doing it live.
I stopped to take a drink, and then my whole brain just went, yep, fuck this, I'm shutting down. It's Saturday night. Yeah, I'm running on Starbucks double shot energy drinks and alcohol. So I think Kyle, I don't know if you were here or not yet, Rage, when I told Kyle this, but I was going to explain why that was on the podcast, because stories like that have to be saved for the podcast. So I went over to my parents' house for dinner again tonight. My mom texted me today. She was like, hey, do you want to come eat dinner with us? And I was like, all right. Yeah, I don't have to cook or clean. Why not? So I live real close to my parents. So I went over to their house. We were eating dinner. I was about to leave. And Mom was like, hey, have you been out to the pool and seen the new thing that we got? And I was like,
Oh,
no.
my.
What did you get? And she was like, well, let me go show you. So we walked out to their pool. And Dad bought a gas station refrigerator unit thing, that they stack drinks in. And one side of it is completely filled with different types of alcoholic beverages. All kinds of beer and cider and the vodka that is flavored and
Smirnoff Ice?
all of all kinds of stuff, wine coolers. And the other side is filled with energy drinks and coffee shots, and there's some soda in it, but it's mostly energy drinks and coffee shots. And I was like, well, I'm bringing some of these home.
And some of them even made it to home in the containers.
Some of them made it home in the containers, yeah. I've had 4 various alcoholic beverages already, and I'm on my second energy beverage.
So I'm going to be the designated podcaster once again.
I'm not going to be drunk. These are not strong alcoholic beverages. I'm not doing shot after shot this time.
Yeah, I mean, who in the hell would do that?
Fuck.
And we're not playing the drinking game.
Well, you're not. Please excuse me, I need to pass out.
Yeah, you've got a bottle of some kind of vodka I've never heard before.
Well, I had 2 bottles of it. They're
enjoy
gone
the podcast,
now.
I guess.
Oh, you drank both bottles of them already?
They weren't very big.
Oh,
yeah, that is
Jesus.
Yeah, that is one way to enjoy the podcast. Just blackout drunk, right?
Emphasis on blackout.
What, you guys enjoyed another way? I know I edit blackout drunk.
Well, I don't know about you, but personally, I'm a fan of cocaine. I'll sit there and just pour myself a couple shots of it, and away to the races we go.
Well, it is good to hear Jared takes the Hemingway approach. Record drunk, edit drunk.
Wake up drunk, go to sleep drunk. I remember college. Well, actually I don't, but that's neither here nor there.
I spend my whole
You know,
life
this
drunk.
kind of sucks. Shotgun. What was that? What was that called?
Well, if it was shotgunning
The
a
barrel
beer,
was.
perhaps.
Only for a moment.
The barrel was cold when I put it in my mouth.
Yeah, but it warmed up pretty quickly.
Yes, it did. All right. Let's
Should I get
actually...
my other? Should I take my Franken episode story now?
If you want to, sure. I mean, I might leave it in. Depends on how long it is.
Well, I got suspended from Reddit this weekend.
Oh, yeah, you told me about this already.
What's this now?
Yeah, but I thought I'd throw it onto the podcast as well.
And Kyle hasn't heard
I
it.
have not.
So go ahead, tell your story.
It's the moral of this. I'll go ahead and start with the moral: is no good deed goes unpunished.
As we know.
Okay, while I render, I do one of two things. I either play mobile games, or I just goof around on Mechanical Turk to make a few extra bucks. Well, Thursday evening, I was getting a couple videos set up, and I was on Mechanical Turk just goofing around, and I saw a post on Mechanical Turk talking about I put my post on Reddit and get a nickel or a dime or something like that. I thought, well, there's a terms of service violation. So I click on the link and I report the link on Reddit and I downvote it. And, not think anything else of it. And Friday at midnight, I get a reply I get in my inbox, you've been suspended from Reddit for 3 days for vote manipulation.
What?
Now, yeah. And I'm assuming this is what it is because I'm pretty much a lurker on Reddit, so I don't really vote that much to begin with, but I just sat there and thought is this for the reporting of that and downvoting it? Because I got to it through a link on another site, or what? So, and you haven't heard this part, Jared. Okay, so
Okay.
So in my inbox they say reply to this to appeal your suspension. So I reply and I ask them, is this for downvoting that post that I reported? And it seems like they move at all the speed of Valve customer service because it's been a day and a half now. I'm halfway through the suspension. I haven't even gotten a reply to my question about what I'm being suspended for. So my bet is that the 3 days is going to pass. Then I'm going to get an email about, well, you were suspended for this. Here, have another suspension.
Well, I will say that Reddit is definitely slower than Valve at this point because I already got my refund. So.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing: is that's an automated service. It just kind of boggles my mind that I got suspended for doing the exact opposite of what they were buying votes for, and I reported that they were buying votes, and gave a link to where they were buying votes from.
You did tell me that part, though. You did tell me that you had asked them, and
yeah, but
although when you told me, you were like, I'm not sure what's going to happen and how long it'll take them to respond to me.
Yeah, so far a day and a half out of a 3-day suspension.
Nice.
And this isn't just that subreddit. This is a global suspension.
Whoa.
Right, yeah, I was asking you about that. Because then I was telling you about my subreddits that I'm suspended from, or have been suspended from.
Yeah, someone been posting Donald Humps things around the Reddit.
Trump bangs things.
Wait, what?
It's TrumpBangsThings.com. Here, I'll put the link in.
So that's clickbait.
No, it's great. It's
All
great.
right. Did you put the link in? Because
Yeah.
I think you might have accidentally sent it to Rage again.
No. Here you go.
Alright, Trump banks. No, god damn it. I have that article open. Thank you.
And elevator music.
Now, well, we should put this in with our links. I'll just drop it over in the news article section.
What the fuck is this? This is amazing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's legit. It's so great. So I posted that on the Donald, r/the Donald. I was like, hey, check this out. Check out this awesome Donald Trump site. I
I have to ask you,
permanently
how quickly
banned.
were you suspended there?
Oh,
banned?
no, banned. Permanent. I'm perma-banned. It took me like less than 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
I posted it. I got up and did a couple of things. Like, I got a drink and went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I had a message saying that I had been banned and my post had been removed. So it was 2 or 3 minutes tops.
Well, this is going to be interesting. I just sent that link to my girlfriend who is currently
just
online. So we'll see how that pans out.
just wait till you get deported for that link in about a year when he becomes president.
But I'm a U.S. citizen.
At least you'll be busy building the wall, right?
Yeah, I'll be building the wall. He'll put me to work building the wall.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you are a Nazi, so...
Yeah, that one crazy lady.
Maybe you'll
thinks
just
I'm
be
a Nazi.
overseeing the building of the wall?
I would be okay with that. I mean, if that becomes my job because I was called a Nazi, just being an overseer, I could handle that.
Hail to Arthur.
That's right. Okay, let's steer this in a productive direction
Oh, that'll be a first.
and talk about the games that we played this week.
Okay.
Last time Kyle was here, we had like 40.
Yeah.
But since we did our 40 games on our last episode, I've only got 2. You've got 2, Rage, and Kyle has 3.
Yep.
Rage, let's let you go first, and then Kyle, you can go second, since me and you have got a shared game on our list. So.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll start off with my Sunday sampler, since that's my tradition. Solitairica.
Okay.
This is an interesting one. It's basically solitaire beats roguelite.
You have my attention. It's an interesting premise.
It's golf solitaire, or sorry, not golf, but spider solitaire, where you're removing the cards via the order that you're dealing them on. And it's an RPG, where you fight different monsters, and there's not a lot to talk about, just because of it being a fairly simple game.
Uh-huh.
Probably my biggest criticism of it is that there's hardly any music in it. So it is a very, very silent game, which makes it seem a lot more boring than what it really should be. And it is solitaire, so... But it has a lot of interesting ideas. Different decks have different abilities, and you're also fighting a series of somewhere between 10 to like 16 monsters. I've had it give me a different number of monsters every time I played a new run. Essentially, it's a gauntlet style where you're fighting one monster, go to the store to buy abilities or items, and then with the gold you get, then you fight the next monster and rinse and repeat. The first time I got 12 monsters I would have to fight until I got to the Castle of Stuck. And yes, that's what they call it.
The Castle of Stuck.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then on the video, I actually had a 16 monster list. So I'm not sure just how much variance there is on that. And every few monsters, the difficulty goes up. But there's a few interesting ideas. The idea that there's different decks that have different abilities, and they're built a little differently. And it has a overall progression system where after every run, you're given so much currency to unlock either extra cards in that deck, or to unlock a different deck that focuses on different powers. Like I said, it's an interesting idea. I'm not 100% sure that I would say that's worth the overall price, just because of the complete lack of music. Oh, and it's very obviously a mobile port. The mobile version's coming out towards the end of the year, just because of the terminology and some of the UI elements in it. For example, they use the term tap instead of click.
Yeah,
and there's
definitely.
And there's no
game.
tooltips. Instead, you have a button that you click, and it brings up all the tooltips. Obviously mobile inspired or made for mobile, and the PC version was just done first. What?
Yeah.
What is it, Kyle? Do you have something you'd like to share with the class?
2 things. Number 1, so are you saying you won't be buying the soundtrack?
Well, technically, I already have it because I could just make a silent MP3.
I was gonna say, sounds like a good podcast game to both talk about.
No,
On
to
a
be fair,
podcast
there is a little bit of music, but it's like one song just when all the monsters are dealt out.
Well, I got a response about that link that we were talking about with the Reddit thing. I posted it in the chat, so that is what my girlfriend says about that link. So,
All she said was "Geez."
Yep, that's it. That is just it.
All right, can't argue with that.
Cannot.
So, Rage, this game looks quite interesting, and guess where it now is?
On your wish list?
It is now on my wish list.
There's
Correct.
a shock. Yeah, like I said, it's an interesting idea. There are quite a few different powers that you get, and I'm assuming that there'll be unlocks as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've only played a couple rounds on it, and I didn't get terribly close to the Castle of Stuck.
God, I love that. The Castle of Stuck.
It has a good sense of humor about it that doesn't really come across in the screenshots for this. For example, one of the early monsters that you fight is basically this little dirt grub, and its attack is called Nibble. And it takes 1 health off of you. And it just has a picture a picture of it gnawing on a person's head. And that's how all the monsters go, is that they have essentially decks. There is a element of luck here, but it is a card-based game. There's going to be luck involved no matter how you, deal it. But I enjoyed it. I'm not sure if it's worth the full price just because of the complete lack of sound, or complete lack of music. It makes it feel like it's not going to last as long as it probably should, just because there's not a lot going on in the background. But it probably is a really good podcasting game, like I think Kyle said.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be good for that. I mean, it does look like fun.
And it's a good pick up and play game. My video is like something on the order of 40 minutes, and that's a complete run. But the thing is that you could quit in between each monster, so you could pick up and play, and put it down, pick it up again.
Pick it up, put it down.
I would say probably it's best on mobile, though. Assuming that they could handle the controls or the smaller screen a lot better. Because it does feel like they're wasting a lot of screen real estate, which may be just, they're trying to expand out for a wider screen than what they would normally do for a mobile game.
Yeah, I could see that.
Solitairica. Interesting.
Yeah. I get interesting games in my review copies, and then I get ones that are complete and absolute shit. I mean that literally. I'm not going to... I haven't played it, but...
Did you get... What is it? There's poo in my soup?
I got the sequel.
Oh.
No, there's a second one now.
Is it diarrhea?
No, I got to send you a link to this just so you can see the title of it in grown.
All right. What do we got?
I'm not sure if it shows me having a copy of this.
Super duper party pooper.
What?
Super duper party pooper. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm very tempted during the summer slump to do a double pack of shit. This and There's Poop in My Soup. And this is from the same developer, by the way.
Wow. I have feelings inside about this game, and none of them are good. Not one of them.
All right. So I'm watching the trailer. Poop on people and poop on parties.
That must be the super duper about it, pooping on people.
Oh, there's
apparently
nothing
you can
super
use your
about
own
this
music.
game. Oh, well, to be fair, I haven't played it, so who knows? It could be amazing.
It might be an amazing game to play, but it just looks... it looks like shit. I almost didn't say it because I thought about it, but then I went, nah, I gotta say it.
Alright,
so what's your next game, Rage?
Okay, my next game is probably going to be my new addiction. Since Kyle's finished infecting you, he's moved on to me. I only got a little bit of time on this, but it's City Skylines.
I'm still upset with City Skylines.
I only got a little over an hour before basically I was pulled away just to get a bite to eat before recording today, and to also cause trouble for Boosters of Space Tape, because whenever I'm not in their chat causing trouble, they call me out for not being there. So obviously they enjoy the mayhem. Or at least
you
the
add
snarky
content
comments.
to the show.
Oh, so that's what it is. They're just being lazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we brought Kyle on, right? So we could be lazy. Well, except for me. Now I have to edit 3 audio
I was gonna say,
tracks.
joke's on you,
2.
you're editing.
I was going to say, joke's on me. Dumbass. Okay, sorry.
But the short time I played with it, it is what I wanted, I think, in a city builder, to be perfectly frank. It reminds me of the feeling I got watching all the stuff for and I'm going to use this in massive sarcasm quotes, Sim City, that was in 2013.
Oh yeah, Sim Shitty.
Speaking of shitty games.
Yeah.
You know, I think SimCity would have done a lot better, and I've been thinking about this. If they didn't call it SimCity, I'm being perfectly frank here. Instead, go back to the SimTown franchise and make it a smaller scale.
Yeah, I could see it being better, but you still would be plagued by server issues at that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole always online thing that didn't need to be there.
Oh no, it had to be there. EA told us it had to be there.
Yeah,
right, and EA never does anything
power of the
wrong.
cloud is the only way that game could be possible, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Because
yeah,
there's
it was
no way
developed
that people
way.
could mod that game to be single player, right?
No,
Well,
nobody
those
did
people
that.
are dirty, dirty criminals. They should take a shower. Because poop. I don't know. That one kind of petered out.
They're a super duper party booper.
Yeah, there's just shit everywhere. Sorry, you were saying about City Skylines.
Yeah, well, I've only gotten to like the second milestone so far. You know, just barely scratching the surface of the game, but I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of the promise that SimCity tried to make and just fell flat on its face to do.
Having played a lot of this game myself, it is fun, but it is very easy to do things in the early game that will absolutely fuck you in late games. And
Yeah,
that's part
I
of the
imagine
thing.
so.
I could give you warnings, but I think it'd be
Yeah,
better for you.
it's much like Factorio in that case.
Kind of, yeah, but it's harder to tear things down and build them back up without really fucking something up.
Unless you just keep like in one district for the beginning of the game and have the mod that allows you to get all 25 of the land plots like I did. I have already modded, by the way.
Excellent. Well done, sir.
And I also have the mod that enables achievements on modded games.
Nice.
There's a mod for that?
Yes,
There's
there
a mod
is.
for anything. I can't believe you had to ask that question, Kyle.
That is amazing.
So I have owned City Skylines before, and it didn't work for me. Like, I wound up refunding it. I bought it right after they had a major update, and it just would not work. And so I got it refunded. I have never actually played it, despite wanting to. I just bought it again. I saw that it was on sale for 66% off. I'm like, yeah, that's good. I'll buy
I was
it.
going to say, yeah, it's on sale, and that's about half the reason I bought it.
And the other half is that you want me to just be obsessed with the game?
No, the other half was the other copy that I accidentally bought because Steam was sold.
So yeah, I'm installing it right now, and I'm going to try and play it again later. And if it doesn't
Actually,
work,
wouldn't
I'll
that be
just refund it
33%?
again.
Well, no, because
So
I was
it's,
only willing to pay
66% off?
66%. So if we want to break down to percentages, it would be... Oh, God. It would be something in the neighborhood of like 40%, so... Don't question my math. I've had drinks.
We will always
Don't question my
question
math.
that.
I'm just terrible at it.
Yeah. Prime numbers.
So any more to say about it at this point, Rage? Or is
Uh,
it just, I'm having fun, I want to play it more?
I'm enjoying it. I think it's going to be a game that I'm going to be dabbling in for the next few years.
Right, yeah.
And I'm also probably looking at the DLC, probably for the summer sale, to be perfectly honest, even though it is on sale now. By the time I sink my teeth into the game enough to really want that, it'll be on sale again. And the summer sale usually has an incentive to buy then anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Either through the trading cards or through something else. So I'm probably just going to hold off for that. I'm not sure how the DLC is right now. I've heard a lot of people complaining about Snowfall. The second one.
I don't really know a lot about that. City Skylines is one of those things I'll pick up, fuck around with for a little while, get in over my head, and then get out of again and go back to playing Dark Souls or some shit.
Yeah, I do have to admit that I'm looking at how City Skylines is built and where it has all the people moving around individually instead of the last big city builder I played was actually SimCity 4.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stuff was just randomly generated, or I should say randomly, but generated content based on traffic maps and that sort of thing.
Right, it used algorithms, whereas this actually generates each and every person.
The agents.
Yeah.
It's agent-driven instead of algorithm-driven.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very tempted to make low-density towns and just interconnect them.
That wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. I think there is actually a ceiling on how many people you can realistically... It's a really big ceiling, and the way it handles the agency system is pretty good. I mean, I've had a city of like 1 million before, and it hasn't really done anything on my potato PC, so...
Yeah, from what I understand... No, wait, actually that was SimCity now that I think about it. I really looked into a lot on SimCity when it came out. Because I wouldn't say I was excited, I was intrigued by how they were doing some of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out just how much bullshit they had behind the scenes. For example, they had a algorithm that... probably the biggest one that I saw was a GIF of a group of school children that had just gotten out of school and was just going down the street and going to random houses that were empty. It didn't have, this child lives here, this child lives here. It was completely random.
Well, I think that's just a really shitty school system, or a communist school system. Anybody can go into anybody's house, or they're just going and talking to every fucking stranger that they possibly can.
They're no. I know what they're doing. They're looking for all the humor and fun that used to be in Maxis games.
Ow. I need to go.
Do I need to put a couple fire departments down to handle that burn?
Yeah, that was a pretty sick burn. You might want to put some hospitals down, too.
Get the burn words out. I am serious that it seems like Maxis, well, I should say the company, or the former husk of a company that was Maxis, that's been absorbed into EA, and it's just kind of sitting there. I think technically Maxis still exists. They've gotten more and more serious, and I'll be perfectly honest that Maxis doesn't do serious very well. Maxis has to have that weird little bit of humor on top of anything serious that they do to make it enjoyable, because Maxis is very boring if they start getting very dry in their humor and their gameplay.
Maxis is shut down.
Yeah,
they were shut down in March 2015.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that they... I think there's still technically a license or a name on a box, but that's about it. Because I remember hearing about that, but I can't remember if it's a complete shutdown or if it's just, basically they're just a division of EA completely now.
Nope, Maxis Studios is completely shut down. They might still have their name on some of their older associated products. What did you just send?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Well, I'm trying to open it, but it won't open.
Let's just put it this way. It's a documentary of EA and SimCity.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, yeah. It opened. Nice. We should include that
We
in the show notes.
absolutely should.
Here's the EA document.
The smoking gun, as
documentary.
it
Yeah,
were.
but here's the thing: is that this isn't completely accurate because I think Dragon Age would still be shambling around as a zombie.
I quite liked Dragon Age Inquisition, though. It was a good game. I played
I'm sorry,
it for...
but I haven't enjoyed a Dragon Age game since the first one. Now, I
Origins?
gave Dragon Age 2 a hell of a chance, and Dragon Age Inquisition is just it wasn't what I wanted.
Dragon Age 2 wasn't great, but I thought Inquisition was, they took the best of Dragon Age 1 and the best, or the good parts of Dragon Age 2 and combined them into a single game.
Okay.
My only problem with Inquisition was that it was so grindy. Like, if you were a completionist, you would spend 40 hours in the starting area.
Well.
Which I did. Because I am.
You completionist.
I am.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the Dragon Age series, much like the Mass Effect series, had a lot of really weird disconnects that kind of turned off some players but turned on other players. For example, my girlfriend actually played Dragon Age 2 first and actually liked it quite a bit more than Dragon Age Origins. So
I liked Origins so much because it reminded me of KOTOR in its battle system.
Yeah.
And KOTOR is, like, my jam.
KOTOR is
still play that
the
game.
shit.
I still need to go back and play it all the way through. I get about a quarter of the way through and I stop. I've done that several times.
I played all the way through KOTOR 1 and 2 last summer. So it's about time for another playthrough. If I can stop playing Factorio for 2 minutes.
Well, I need to send you the Factorio DLC. There's not any. I'll write some just because that's the kind of guy I am, but...
Well, there's mods. I'm getting into mods. I've got at least one more playthrough after this one before I even consider mods, because... Well, I'll talk about Factorio when I get there. You've still got your games to talk about.
Yeah, we should
Kyle.
probably put the brakes on that and save Factorio for the
Yeah,
time.
I'm not sure there's really anything else to talk about in City Skylines or really SimCity.
Okay. Well, Kyle, then talk to me about your games.
All right, well, the first one I have on the list is, I put a link to it, is Offworld Trading Company. And,
Yeah, I've seen some stuff about this. This looks interesting.
Well, I picked it up back way in the early release cycle when I figured out that Mohawk Games was a branch of people who had worked on Civ 4 that had since left Maxis, and their publisher is Stardock, who does a lot of fun things. Sorry, Firaxis.
I was about to say.
Well, technically, I guess they were not employed by Maxis anymore either, not that they ever were. I'm not wrong, damn it.
Which that's technically correct, which is the best form of correct.
Yes, it is. But
which is also how Reddit tends to operate, be technically correct.
Well, strangely enough, I used to be very good at the earlier build of this game. This was a game where I actually bothered to learn the hotkeys, and they're still good, but they changed around some stuff, and I'm just now getting back into it. I now suck at this game, but that is neither here nor there. The game itself, the closest game I can think to compare it to is Sid Meier's Railroads. It's an economic RTS where you're one of 4 different factions trying to support a Mars colony through capitalism. And I haven't quite picked up the nuances of how to make stupid amounts of money towards the end of the game. I mean, I've got some idea, but not enough. Because the way that you win is you have to buy out the other players with their stock, which is how you won in Sid Meier's Railroads, which is why I compare the two. Not to mention the way that they handle resources. It's a lot of fun, and I don't know. It's not just like make all the money, buy them out. There's like power-ups and stuff where you can sick pirates on them being the other players. You can mutiny like some of the really high production things that aren't yours and just like hijack their ships and send all of the stuff to you. It's a lot of fun. I'm trying to get more than one win in a row before I start the campaign because currently I'm not doing so well at late game stuff, so I need to evaluate what I'm doing in my life there.
Yeah, this game is near the top of my wish list. The part of my wish list that I actually keep organized. This one is pretty close to the top of that. I've been interested in it ever since it first, well, not first, but ever since I first saw it a few months ago.
It's pretty legit, dude. Like, I bought it about 6 months ago, and it's pretty awesome.
I first saw it maybe 3-4 months ago.
No, it must have been longer than that. Jesus, I think I picked this up over a year ago.
Yeah, it was in early access for a while, wasn't it? And now it's just in full release.
Yeah, it's in full release now, I think, and I do like where they went with it. There's, like, in the campaign, there's characters, but realistically, there's 4 different factions, and satisfyingly enough, they all play differently. Like, the expansionists' base are huge, but they get extra claims to snap up resources. Robots don't need anything off of the water tree, so you can, like, completely ignore about half of all of the resources on the map that you could make. Scientists, like, if there's a water resource, you don't have to bother bringing it back. You can just, like, set up a farm on that. And then the scavengers are a lot of fun in any sort of high carbon situation because they can ignore the iron steel, like, side of things.
Yeah, it's been between that Offworld Trading Company and Anno 2205 for, like, which one of these games I want to get first. I realize that they're, like, 2 different games, but they're similar in theme.
I would highly recommend Offworld first, simply because the latest Anno game. See, I played Anno 2070 and thought that was all right. The latest Anno game, I don't remember the sequence of numbers after it. Damn it, dyslexia! I don't really remember the sequence.
I just said it, 2205.
Damn it, Stolichnia. Point being,
doesn't that one have a form of always on DRM?
It does. It's got.
Yeah, I remember.
It uses the Uplay whatever.
Yeah, I remember it was either the newest one or the one before that, because I balked on buying one of the Anno games a couple times because I keep seeing the always on DRM, and that makes me stop buying a game.
I know that Anno 2070 uses Uplay as well, but I don't know if it's always online.
Anno 2070 is really weird.
I wish they would put the old Anno games on sale.
Yeah, the old Anno
games. Because honestly, I don't think it's worth.
Shit.
I believe they're $20 on Steam.
Yeah.
And it just disappoints me that they never put those on sale whenever Anno goes on sale. I guess technically they aren't the Anno franchise in North America because they needed a new name, I guess. Hell if I know.
Aren't they called, like, Settlers or something like that?
Dawn Discovery.
Dawn of Discovery, yeah. I really liked 2070. I've played 2070 quite a bit. I owned it a long time ago on DVD, and then I almost said recently. I guess it's been a couple years ago now.
Actually, I'm sure that there's some sort of licensing thing that they couldn't be called Anno in North America. Kyle, clear that up for us since you're the law consultant.
We're sorry, the law consultant you have trying to call has checked out. Please call back in the morning.
Yeah, damn, I'm going to have to restart them. Where's the baseball bat?
Oh, shit.
But 2205, I got really excited when I saw, I believe, the E3 trailer last year for it. And then I was like, nah, I'm going to wait a while, because it's going to have Uplay, and it's a Ubisoft game. And
well, I mean, apparently Anno 0522 chugs some serious frame rate towards the end of the game, and apparently it's also very jarring. That's just what I heard from one of my friends who played it. Just, like, there's a huge disconnect between, like, the shit you do and the shit that the story is kind of trying to get you to do.
Right. Well, it's got mostly negative reviews on Steam. But I'm not sure if that's because it's a Ubisoft game that uses Uplay, or if it's actually a bad game. I'd have to actually take some time.
Wait, there's a difference?
Say. Fair enough. But so anyways, yeah, after I've derailed your conversation about Offworld Trading Company, Kyle.
Yeah, it's Offworld Trading Company, I would say, is probably more worth your time. There's better replay value in it. And each map has different strategies. There's this thing in it called the Black Market, where that's a constantly like rotating combination of like different bonuses you can get. Like you can get some extra claims to try and snap up more resources. You can throw pirates down. You can completely derail somebody's power grid. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's basically all I had to say about that.
Okie dokie. Then what's your next game?
All right, the next one, I sent you the Steam link for it, but I've been playing it on on my iPhone. It's called The King of Dragon Pass, and it's not exactly the most recent.
Well, it sounds like you need some more fiber in your diet if you have a Dragon Pass.
Well, at least I'm not dragging ass when I go to the bathroom, because let me tell you, there ain't no way. I don't know where I was going with that. Point is, it was an older game, and it plays a lot like a visual novel mixed with a turn-based strategy game. And on the mobile port, it is a little bit on the expensive side. It is a paid game, but there's also no in-game transactions. So it's like $10, I want to say, on the iTunes Store. I don't know if it's on Google Play. But
are those ducks in the farm?
Oh yeah. Yep. There's two different clans of ducks you can run into. There's the beaker ducks, and then there's somebody else. I don't remember because I haven't played it in a little while. But basically,
and obviously this one duck doesn't believe in pants.
Oh, none of the ducks do.
He has the Donald Duck mindset.
Well, this game is really interesting in that you go through like I don't know, the best way I can describe it so that people would massively understand this is if you've played the beginning of Firewatch, you do kind of like that to set up your barbarian tribe. And like your decisions, you have to stay true to those, otherwise your clan members are going to get pissed. Simply because this is a game that is reflective of like the 1300s mindset in this fantasy universe. So it's really fun. I'll just describe a situation that I was dealing with a couple of weeks ago. Actually, this was over Memorial Day. I was just playing it while I was waiting for something to happen. I don't remember what. But
well, you're on the toilet, sorry, I should say the throne.
Well, there's the King of Dragon Pass and the King of the Porcelain Room, so I can be both. So there was this lady who kept just talking shit in my clan, who was trying to convince all of the Carls that I favored the weapon Thanes and all the weapon Thanes that I favored the Carls, and how like if I were to like banish her, she would like cause an uprising within my clan. So the first time I'm like, okay, we're gonna let her just wind down on her own and just ignore her, which was what, it's not my clan's duty to get involved with that, like the higher ups. So she keeps doing it, causing my mood to tank through the floor, so I'm like, hey, shut the fuck up or I'm outlawing. So she said, do it. I will take you down if you do. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Just shut the fuck up and go away. Same time, the next year, she's starting shit again. So of course I out, because, I warned her once. It's not like just, nope, you're out of here. So apparently, she very much misjudged how much people actually liked her. So when she left, the community mood actually went up a lot. So I felt real good about that. And then
nice.
Yeah, so like you're encouraged to raid, and you have to pay attention to like farming cycles and stuff like that. So if you raid during the season of planting called the sea season, your crops are not going to come in nearly as full as they would. If you raid during the harvest season, you're not going to be able to harvest all your food. You might not make it through the dark season. So, and the currency is cows. It's kind of fantastic.
Well, that seems appropriate for like the 13th century.
Yeah, it is. It's really interesting because I had an adventuring party come through of like a dragon person, an elf, and a couple of other people. And they tried to pay my townspeople in gold, and they were like, yeah, they tried to give us these shiny bits of metal and told us that they were worth cattle, and we didn't believe them, so we...
That's amazing.
The writing in this game is really good. It's a very in-depth game. I've only played through about 10 years so far because it's really easy to pick up and play, because the part that really attracted me to this game was it keeps track of your decisions and makes a saga out of it. And the fun bit is it constantly like writes down what you've been doing. And when the game is done, either you die or you become the King of Dragon Pass, you can email that story to yourself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You just finished selling me this game. I just bought it on Google Play. And it's downloading to my phone right now.
It's really fun. Don't open it while you're podcasting because it's just going to be the Rage and Kyle show at that point. And then you'd be editing.
Just sit over here quietly.
Well, at least
sitting there quietly, then occasionally.
At least Jared will be surprised about the podcast when he's editing it.
When I have
because
to
he won't
edit
pay
it,
a damn bit of attention to us otherwise.
No, I'll wait till after. I'll lay in bed tonight and listen to The Martian in the background and play this game on my phone.
Well, don't forget to send out your explorers and shop heroes.
Yes, I should do that. Next time you guys start talking, I just sit here quietly. I'll do that.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, you need to get all the rewards that I unlocked for you.
Well,
yeah, and if Kyle hurries up and joins our city, he can get them as well.
Well, here's the thing about that. I don't really have a good enough iPhone. I'm still rocking an iPhone 4 just because it still works and hasn't broken yet. So I'm just waiting for it to break, which is the surest sign that it never will.
Does Shop Heroes not work on the iPhone 4? I mean, It's not a very intense game in terms of anything.
It was never developed for it. It's iPhone 5 and up.
Huh. Okay.
Which is why I haven't joined it, because Shop Heroes looks fucking amazing. Which is why I wanted to join.
It is.
But I can't.
It's great. Do you have a tablet?
Dude, no.
Okay.
No, he has a Joe Camp.
Never mind then.
Okay, but so that's King of Dragon Pass. And I don't know, it might be something that you're interested in. It plays out, like I said, the story bits are visual novel-esque. The art is really good and stylized.
Were you not paying attention when I said I just bought it?
No, I wasn't. I'm gonna keep trying to sell after the sale with one less. A crazy man came into my town.
I think he's trying to sell to me now.
A crazy man came into my town, ranting and raving about how we needed to put badgers on our heads to oust evil spirits.
What does Amy have to do with this?
No idea. The guy kind of looked like Biff. I don't know what was going on. I'm not kidding. The guy kind of looks like Biff. And so I'm like, the fuck is this? Does it know my podcast?
You should have sent that to Kerbalcast.
Oh, it's still on my phone. I can send it. I'm thinking about actually photoshopping his face on it. So, anyways, so my townsfolk were like, hey, this guy, there's something off about him, but he might be a
whole
prophet.
badger thing, I think.
Yeah, and so they were saying, okay, so what should we do? Should we put badgers on our heads? And so my clan ring, which is like the leadership, said, yeah, no, let's wait and see what goes on here. If the curse starts happening, we'll put badgers on our head. But turns out the guy was just crazy and like hallucinating because of a fever, and he died 3 days later. So
it's the
Poor
curse.
Poor Biff. I hope he feels better soon.
Well, I don't think he
no.
is. I mean, he's kind of living impaired there.
Yeah, a little bit. But hey, zombieism is a thing.
Living impaired.
Zombieism
I think that's the most politically correct thing you've ever said, Rage.
Fucking
right,
zombies
he's
coming
fucking
to take our
dead.
jobs.
Fucking dead. Yeah, he's fucking dead. Good job.
Mm.
All right.
He's deader than a parrot.
So is it time for us to talk about Factorio?
Oh my god, yes, Factorio!
I'm not sure if you're actually that excited or if you're being sarcastic.
Okay,
Well,
so
with that
is it
build-up,
the
I couldn't
part of
just
the
calm
show
down.
where I load up my phone now?
Yeah, play
Yeah,
King
you
of
gotta
Dragon
pull out
Pass.
your
It's
phone.
awesome. And then we can talk about it after we talk about Factorio, because that's going to be like 3 hours down the line. It's going to be great.
And welcome to the Factorio podcast.
The Factorio portion of the podcast.
No,
So,
I think everything up to this point has been the non-Factorio portion of the Factorio
Hey.
podcast.
Hey, Jared.
Yo, what's up, Kyle?
I kind of want to try something. Can you
Okay.
superimpose on the ground, just starting now?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so give me 1 second. 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome to Factorio Game Logic, the podcast where Jared and I completely ignore rage. Today, as always, I'm your host, Kyle, and with me is the psychologist of psychologists of the Third Reich.
Gaming psychologist, Zig Heil.
Heil, Herr Author. Okay, so
You know, if
Factorio.
there was somebody that wasn't completely paying attention to us and started hearing the music again, I'd love to hear them send in something.
They're gonna be so confused.
Oh, I live for chaos. But, okay, so I actually launched my rocket in Factorio, apparently. Jared. So,
Yeah, bitch. Come
Hey.
at me, bro.
You're
I got
welcome.
there first.
You might have gotten there first, but I'm going to land on the Factorio moon first. I don't even know if that's a thing. I should mod that in.
If you do, you can. I've already started in the factory. I'm already up to logistics bots.
Oh, I'm already past logistics spots, but the thing is I'm going to be out of town this week, so you're definitely going to pass me again.
Yep.
But
No, so I started my new factory, and I have gone straight to logistics bots. Like I got some defensive stuff, some turrets, because there are many aliens that want to come eat my face. But I went straight to bots and designed my entire starting factory with that in mind. I have almost no conveyor belts this time. Just conveyor belts running resources to my smelting area. Everything else is now completely handled by logistics bots.
well, I haven't quite got to the point where the logistics bots are actually going to be taking over anything. I'm very close to that point. Also, I should probably figure out how logistics bots work. So my entire factory is designed to be ripped up and put back down. I've got a red-green factory, and then I'm just manually making blue because there's not much I need in blue before logistics bots.
Yeah, you only need, I think, 150 blue science to get to logistics bots.
Well,
Because you
also
in order
need batteries.
to use them,
Or no. Fuck,
batteries don't require blue science.
No, there was
The
something
thing that
else
you
I was
need the
after
blue
that
science
requires
for-
blue. I don't. Oh yeah. No, it was liquid material storage or something like that. I don't really remember. No, it was advanced processing. That's what it freaking was.
I'm raising an eyebrow. The only thing that you need blue science for is what is it? Something to do with the logistics network that gives you the purple logistics chests
Yeah,
and
the passive.
the blue logistics chests.
Yeah, the receiver and the provider chests. No, what I was doing is I was making. I remember what it was. It was advanced materials processing, which will allow me to crack light oil down into petrol, so I can keep my sulfur and plastic bars up.
Yeah.
So that's what I
Yeah.
decided, because I was only 75. I decided to roll that first, and then go for the logistics bots, and then just tear everything down and build it back up again, because I pulled a Trump. I built a wall. It was a fantastic wall.
My wall is also fantastic. It's fucking huge. Huge. This is the biggest walled-in base I've ever created.
Well, my problem is I built a wall, I made the aliens pay for it, and now Trump won't leave. He's just kind of like telling me how he's going to fix Factorio and bring it back to when I was playing in like my first hour. I'm like, dude, those times sucked. The fuck are you on about?
He's gonna make
Is
it
he
great
also
again.
talking about how Hillary has to go to jail?
Well, yeah, and he's demanding that I pay for that too, and I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know.
I actually had the aliens break through my wall for the first time. Because what I do is I'll build the wall and then I wait. Because the aliens only come and attack at certain points. So at least at the beginning, it's very wasteful to try and cover your entire wall with guns, especially with my wall as big as it is.
Mhm.
I need to figure out, there's got to be a way to measure how big it is. Just so that I could give you figures of how large it is. But your entire
It's called
starting...
fucking huge.
You know the entire area that you can scan with a radar?
There's a way.
Well, I mean, you know how that works and how it scans the whole area out for you?
Yeah.
I have got... The radius of my wall extends to out half of that range.
Jesus. Well, you were asking
My
about...
base is huge.
You were asking about how to measure wall stuff. What you have to do is you
Yeah.
have to save and then concede, and it'll give you stats on what you built.
Oh. Well, I can just open up... When you start talking, I'll open Factorio, and I'll do that.
Okay, well, I
and
guess I'm not talking.
tell you how... Well, hang the fuck on, bro. So yeah, so what I do is I wait until aliens start attacking.
I was playing something else.
King of Dragon Pass.
Whatever. I wait until aliens start attacking before I start putting up turrets. And apparently I aggroed either one giant base or several smaller bases. There must have been 50 aliens that came, and they broke down my wall before I could get down there and place turrets. So I lost some buildings because they went and started attacking my pump jacks in the southern quarter of my base.
Sounds like somebody
Which
needed...
at least...
Oh, go ahead.
It at least kept them from getting up to where all the main production stuff was, because these are just like kind of secondary pump jacks.
Mhm.
They're just down there for when the main wells start to run dry.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it bought me time to kill them.
it sounds like somebody needed a double hulled wall.
I did. I'm going to do that, actually. I've got, like, 2,000 or 2,500 wall pieces that are waiting to be put up.
Jesus!
I just haven't got to that yet, because I've been working on getting hundreds of logistics bots. They take a lot of resources and energy when you have to build them in hand.
I would imagine so. Well, right now
Okay,
I'm just stockpiling lubricant for when I get my for when I get my logistics bots like to a place where I should be building. So
yeah, I've got 4 storage tanks full, so I've got 10,000 units of lubricant.
Well, I decided to go a slightly different direction in this, and I pulled a thing from the old StarCraft games. Oh, hey, J. Arthur's playing Factorio. I pulled a thing from the old StarCraft games, which is where you make shapes on the minimap. So my lubricant tanks are very loosely in the form of a pixelated K and Y.
That's amazing. Let me load this game up.
But okay.
Welcome to the portion of the podcast where we're all playing different video games.
I'm not playing shit. I think my computer.
It's nighttime.
I think my computer would blow up. So the.
Who says I'm playing anything on my computer?
Oh, having a date with Miss Michigan then.
There you go. Let's turn the volume down, so hopefully it doesn't bleed through. I'll take a screenshot of my oil refining area as soon as daylight rolls around, because it's nighttime.
Right.
And then I'll concede and tell you how large my wall is.
All right, that should do it, because doesn't that give you stats on like everything you built?
It does give you stats on like things that you've built and killed and damage done. And
right. Now that might give you
jazz.
like total structures, and then you'd have to do some math. But I think it should tell you wall segments. I think that's a thing. But
my base is being attacked.
But I will
Look at those
vamp
guns
for a
go.
minute. I will vamp for a minute.
All right, vamp for me.
Maybe my nickname on the show ought to be Mussolini, because I tell you what, my train network was fucking impeccable last time.
Oh my gosh! Did you? I talked.
They
about
all ran on time as well.
They did. It was really weird. The local space time was warping. That might have just been lag on my computer. I'm not sure. All right. Sorry, that was a dumb. What?
No, it was this last episode, right, where I talked about how my train network fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't understand how to make train signals work.
Right, and that's the thing. I actually had to break down and go look that up. So, what was your problem? Were you getting no path errors, or were you getting log jams?
I was getting everything. So I'd get a no path error.
Okay.
And then I'd go down and I'd look, and there would be some problem with something.
Okay.
Well,
so
that's
I'd go
usually
and
how it works, doesn't it? There's some problem with something.
But no, so I would go and I would change the signal out. I'm like, okay, this should fix it. And then the trains would look like they would be running fine, and then they'd crash into one another.
Okay, so here's what you need to do. Do you know about the whole right-hand signal thing?
Yeah.
Do you know that a train will not pass a left-hand signal unless there's one on the right side?
No.
That's what causes about 90% of no-pathing. Now, what I did is I set up a proprietary line on the right going to places. So, like, if I was going south, I set it up like an American road, basically. Now, the other thing you need to play with is what's called a chain signal, and those are a little bit more complicated. So, what a standard signal does is it checks the next block. Do you know how track blocks work?
Yes.
Okay, so it checks the next...
I think so.
Okay, so what a block is from signal A to signal B. With standard signals, the signal A will check if there's anything on those tracks, and if there is, it'll go red. It'll go yellow if the oncoming train has permission to be in that rail space. And if it's red, another train can't go in there, so that's a way to space out your train network. That having been said, there's another thing called a chain signal, which measures off of the next block up. So, okay, it's really fucking hard to describe without actually showing you how the fuck it works. But basically, imagine 2 train tracks crossing at 90 degrees from each other.
Right, okay.
Okay, so the vertical track and the horizontal track. On the vertical track, let's say that a train is trying to come down and a train is trying to go to the right on the horizontal track.
Okay.
So how you would do this is by placing a standard signal after the vertical track on the horizontal track on the right-hand side of the track. That would measure the next thing. So is there anybody going to be blocking that one? And then what you would do is you put a chain signal down before the intersection. So what the chain signal will do is it will not only measure the block that it's leading to, it will measure the block after that. So let's say that you had another train stuck past the crossing, and by going across the crossing, it would block up your entire train network. What the chain signal will do is stop it before it gets to them. And it's able to read in more directions than one. So then if you do the same setup on the vertical one, it won't try to enter the next block if there's already something on that block, which will leave the horizontal train capable of going through. But if the vertical train is going through, that will trip the chain signal on the left side of the vertical track and stop your train that's heading right so that they're not going to crash into each other. Did that make sense?
I think so. But the problem is, like you said, I'm just listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then, like, I'm going to go do it later. I'm going to go, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, we're on track to finish this up in a decently timely fashion. So if you want, after this, I can show you my rail network that I made in my world where I launched the rocket, and show you what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, if we finish up at a decent hour, why not?
Okay, cool, yeah. But yeah, that's my Factorio story. Did you figure out how many wall segments you built?
No. How do you concede?
I don't actually go get killed. That's the way to do it.
I tried that. It didn't tell me all my stuff. It just was like, you've died. And I could go get killed again.
Yeah. Honestly, I might be talking out of my ass, but I think there's a way to, like, I don't know. I think I might be talking out of my ass.
Because, like, I've looked at all the options. There's no way to actually concede. Like, you can quit game, and then that just takes you back to the main menu. And then when you die, it's like, you have died. And it gives you a couple of stats, but not all of your stats. And it has nothing to do with your building.
Huh. Well, shit. I guess you would have to... Well, if you have a couple of hours, I mean, you could always finish the game.
Yeah, if I have a couple of hours, I can just always finish the game. I can just sit here, very quickly go down and finish the rocket. And
there you
actually, go. If I stay on track with my old time, I'm 32 hours away from finishing the rocket.
Well, so in other words, you'll be done by the time we're finished recording here.
Yeah. Probably about that time.
Awesome. Wasn't there something about porn? I don't remember, but moving on, that's probably not important.
That's we'll be getting there later.
All right, but yeah, so that's,
eventually, maybe.
That's my little Factorio thing. Also, I got lazy with my train network, and I had a ghost station.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use the engine because I didn't want to make another 20 engines to make a new train engine. So there were still resources being processed by my plant down there, and it was a dead plant. It wasn't making anything worth my time anymore. So rather than do the responsible thing, tear up a bunch of rail track and resignal my whole rail network, I decided, fuck it, ghost station. So I decoupled the engine from the cars, left the cars there, and so then they were just basically acting as very big chests that set off the signals to make sure that no train tried to go down that particular stretch of track. So I, honest to God, had a ghost station.
Nice.
So I don't know if that was wasteful, but it felt good as fuck to have a train station that
I created in my rocket building game. I created a train network to just play with, to try and learn after I gave up trying to get my main train network working properly. And I just messed around with how many train cars a single train could pull effectively. One train engine, rather. Mm-hmm. One train engine can pull 10 cars at a decent enough speed.
Right, but then the other thing is there's the resource management in the game where, yeah, you can load up a train car with different things and then use smart inserters to pull them out. But realistically, what I did is I set up all my train networks to behave by the same logic. So car 1 in a particular loop would always be iron, car 2 would always be this, car 3 would always be that. So that worked out pretty well, and I was able to use fast inserters, which was able to empty out my my shit a little bit quicker.
You do know that smart inserters are exactly the same as fast inserters, except you can just tell them what things to grab or not to grab.
Yeah, I know, but I was heavy on fast inserters, so that seemed like an easier.
Using logistics bots, I didn't even need smart inserters, because I would just set certain resource chests to be specific items. And so the resource bots would bring the proper ones to the chest, and I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have any complicated conveyor belts. I didn't have to do any sorting, nothing. It was all done by the logistics bots in the chests.
Right, and then the other thing that I ran into is I just had a surplus of fast inserters.
Yeah, I never really have a surplus of inserters. I don't
know how I wound up with them, but I had a surplus. Oh, you know what? It was probably from that factory before Rage optimized it.
What do we have a surplus of?
Factorio talk, and we probably should be moving on in the next hour or so.
Look at Rage trying to move us on. Well, that's not a link. Steam, you lied to me.
Well, okay, so, Jared, I need one more favor for you.
Okay.
As the music starts to roll over my voice, this has been Kyle and Jared with the Factorio podcast. And scene. Alright, it's been wonderful, guys. I'm gonna get out of here before I actually talk about what the fuck you wanted me to be talking about, so...
No, sir.
Actually, it was your idea.
Yeah, it kinda was.
I'm still trying to... Why is Steam not giving me a link for this image?
Have you tried right-clicking it, copying it, and then just posting it in the chat? Because that's what I do.
Yes. But I can try...
What the fuck is it coming? Oh!
Yay, it worked that time. That's just my
a segment,
oil processing network. That's one small segment.
That's pretty sizable iron.
That's what?
That's a pretty sizable iron deposit.
Yeah, there's one more to the south that you can't see. And then multiple ones even farther south that you can't see.
Well, what I'm trying to...
I walled in the entire area around that lake and then some.
Nice.
I have so many
resources. I'm seeing where you're getting attacked down in the south. There's a nice big red, hey, fuckwit, pay attention to this.
Yeah, there's guns down there now, but I ran down there while you were talking, and some of them have run out of ammo, so the walls are actually taking damage again.
What are you making solar panels for?
So that I can switch over to solar power and get off of my steam power.
Ah, fuck that. Steam power for life.
I have, how many steam generators do I have? 20?
Yeah, that'll do it. Until you start really getting into a logistics network. But
nope, I'm going to solar.
Well, what are you going to do with your collectors?
What do you mean what I'm going to do with my collectors?
How many of those are you going to be rolling? That's going to be a huge goddamn field to run through the night.
A lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Actually, I'm interested. Factory. I want to see this, and that's actually why I do trains. It's so that I can make a smaller walled area that's a little bit easier to defend. And then once the trains get going, they're functionally invincible.
Yeah, until you get to the behemoths, and even then, a behemoth has to step directly in front of your train so that it stops, and that does not happen very often.
Right, and so what I'm thinking about doing with that is, how much do you know about the Civil War? I'm just curious.
As in the United States Civil War?
Mm-hmm.
A bit. I'm a bit of a history buff.
Well, I majored in it, but just pulling the fucking trump card over the wall.
Yeah, I majored in history.
Yeah, and you're just sitting there fucking...
Well, it's about the only thing that I could really use it for.
Alright, so basically, do you remember how, the Union used trains to move things around effectively, but also they had their telegraph network following the rail lines? Okay, replace telegraph network with laser turrets, and you get what my intention is for keeping my trains safe.
Dang. Whatever works, right?
Supposing so. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from Factorio. That's
a good half an hour for people to skip.
I've got one other game on my list, which will take much less time to talk about than Factorio, so let me just speed through it. It's called
really?
Yeah. It's called Tumbleweed Express. I saw this this morning. on my the discovery queue, and I was like, I absolutely have to buy this. It is a train game that is an on rails shooter. So what it is it's an alternate steampunk history of the end of the 19th century in the United States. Instead of trains becoming the thing that grew the Western economy, airships became the thing that did that. And there was some sort of war between unions, the train union and the airship union, like an actual war. And the airships won. And so trains have basically been relegated to history. And you come in trying to revitalize the last train in the West, called the Tumbleweed Express. And you have to put guns on it so that you can protect it from outlaws and then the dirigible pilots who come to attack you later on.
Of course, they're called dirigibles.
And then there's people that are trying to use your engine for a science experiment.
Yes. The company that actually makes this game, they're called the Dirigiballers.
I might have to buy this game just because of that.
It's $5. It's pretty short. I've played it for right at an hour, and I'm about a third or a fourth of the way through the game. There's 14 levels, and then each of the levels you have to go back to replay them if you want to get they each get star ratings, and the higher the star rating you get, the more rewards you get. Not just in terms of money, but also like bonuses and things you can unlock. So some of them you have to have specific weapons and things from later in the game. So it does encourage you to go back and replay the levels, but I think at most there's 5 or 6 hours worth of content for this game. But it's just great. I love building my little train, putting weapons on it, driving it around, hauling cargo from place to place. Choo-choo, motherfucker.
I'm curious. Have you ever heard of a game called Rails of War?
Yes, I have. I used to play Rails of War. You're talking about the Flash game, right?
Yes, I am.
I used to play that like crazy. I constantly, well, not constantly, but every once in a while I go and try and find games that are like Rails of War. Like Lionel Battle Trains for
what?
iOS.
What the fuck? Okay. iOS time. What do we got?
I believe it's called Lionel Battle Trains.
Okay.
Doing a quick Google search. Yeah, Lionel Battle Train. It's the same sort of idea as this game, and kind of Rails of War-esque, only with less control over your train. But yeah, it's fun too.
Okie doke.
So yeah, that's what this game is. It reminded me of Rails of War, and I was like, I have to buy this game. And for $5, definitely an impulse buy territory.
Well, didn't Rails of War have like a paid option to it?
Yeah, you could play it for free, but you could only use
Steam trains,
and
then like up through the second level, I think, and then after that you had to pay for it.
Yeah, and then if you paid for it, you had access to everything, and you could play through everything. I think it was only $10. Does it still exist?
I'm gonna search this up. All right, let's.
Rails of War.
Oh shit!
Does it still exist?
Yes, it does.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Give me a link.
Well, there goes Jared for the rest of the podcast.
No. I'll look this up after the podcast.
Sure you will.
I guess it's just Rail of War.
Rail of War. Is this free? This looks like it would be free.
Yeah,
which is fine. You play the free portion of the game.
Yeah, honestly, Rail of War, interesting. I don't know if there's $10 worth of gameplay there.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a different world back then when that first came out.
Yeah, it was. Miniclip.com. Fantastic times.
Yep, good times. All right. Those are my games, though. Rage is itching to move on with the podcast. He's doing what's normally my job. Like, okay, guys, come on.
What?
Let's stop talking about this.
Well, it's more I goof around shop heroes for a bit, look up at the timer, and it's like, oh, wow, 20 minutes has gone by. We're still talking about Factorio.
Oh, yeah, Factorio's great. Have I told you about the time?
That I killed you?
You don't know where I live? Actually, wait, yeah, you do.
Okay, So let's move on to our first topic then, which is why our resident expert is here. Let's talk about the legalities of Overwatch porn. So on last week's on last week's episode, because even though it's only been a couple of days for us, it'll be a week for you guys. We were talking about Overwatch porn and does it count as parody and fair use and all of that. And we posed the question to Kyle and told him to tell us.
Well, that's actually, like I said, that's...
And he said that it would be an extremely long audio letter, so he wanted to come on the show and talk to us directly about it.
Yeah, and then, okay, so like I was saying before the podcast, this is really complicated. This involves copyright, EULA, fair use agreements, transformative copyright law, let's see, what else? Free speech, and a United States Supreme Court decision. So, yeah, this is complicated.
All right.
Basically...
Well,
so in other words, I should fire up Shop Heroes again?
Or Factorio. Factorio's great. Have you played Factorio? Okay, so, basically what this is Blizzard is looking to stop the spread of porn that uses their assets as, well, assets in porn. So...
Yeah, good luck with that.
The best I've been able to figure is a couple of hacked versions of the character models have been put through Steam Movie... That's not, what was it? Source Movie Maker?
Source Movie Maker.
Yeah, that's the one.
Source Movie Maker. And I guess we should have full disclosure. We don't know 100% that this is Blizzard or not.
Right.
I mean, odds are it is, or at least a division of Blizzard, but...
Okay, let's put it this way.
Trying to be completely honest on
Somebody is trying to stop Overwatch.
Someone's heavily triggered by Tracer's ass, and seeing it bare is even more triggering.
Well, I have one question for those people before we dive too much into this. Would seeing it set to a music video help?
Depends on if it follows the beat, if you get my drift.
It does.
Oh, it does.
It does. There is a link. It's way earlier in our discussion in Skype. So, how it comes down to is this. Can Blizzard, or this subsidiary company that is probably Blizzard, touch the porn? Short answer, no. No, they can't. But, just because they can't pursue people for making porn that is using their characters as a parody of who they are in different interactions, which is enough of a transformative work as far as I figure that it would not constitute any sort of legal action by the United States. It could be gone after for a copyright thing, but the reason why it can't be gone after for the free speech sort of thing and the obscenity claims is that I don't think it's obscenity, because in 1964, in Jacob Ellis versus Ohio, which went to the Supreme Court, Potter Stewart was quoted as saying, I shall not today attempt to further define the kinds of materials I understand to be embraced within that shorthand description of hardcore pornography. And perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so, but I know it when I see it, and the motion picture involved in this case is not that. So it's basically a very subjective thing as what defines obscenity versus what defines protected speeches. So would they be able to...
It all depends on how much you're triggered.
Well, yes and no, but it also depends on how much the work... I don't know. It depends on the actual meaning behind the work, and that is incredibly hard to nail down. If you want to find out how hard it is to nail down, make some Jell-O, go out to a tree in your backyard, and try to nail that Jell-O to the tree.
Don't tempt me.
Don't freeze it either. That's cheating.
Oh.
Well, I was just going to use a container.
That would work. You could nail the container to the tree and put the Jell-O in the container.
Huh. All right. Moving on from that.
Completely shut down his argument right there.
I didn't even hear your response. I clicked on the link.
You hear him coming to a stop.
I clicked on the link. And I'm like,
Oh, no, that was for later. I just put it there for later.
oh, you should have told me that. Okay, so what was your response to that about nailing whatever, fuck it, moving on. Sounds like something I wouldn't win anyways, even if I was paying attention.
Probably not. It's our show.
Haha. Oh. I just realized our referred to.
Well, we could always use duct tape.
Yeah. So, basically what could happen is, are you familiar with how copyright works as far as video game art assets go?
Not really.
No.
Okay, so here's where this gets really squirrely. If somebody were to say, draw a 2D version of the characters and have, like, I don't know, an anime style of porn that used the characters as inspirations and jumping off points for the characters inside of their porn, that would be 100% okay, and Blizzard couldn't touch that. But because this material was derived from the assets that Blizzard actually made and then copyrighted, that's a little bit more squiffy, especially if they were hacked or ripped out of the game without the permission of the game company, which obviously they were. But that also comes down to, did the particular hacker involved buy the game, or did they just hack the files and, take the assets that way? Because at that point, you're dealing with intellectual property theft, and not necessarily anything to do with the intent of the end use of those materials. That having been said...
how's this going to change it? Because a lot of the people that I've heard talking about this talked about how it was ripped during the open beta. So there wasn't a purchase involved anyway.
Well, there wasn't a purchase involved, but... this is...
and then you start getting into the NDA, but I don't think that there was an NDA for the open beta.
But there could have been some sort of agreement that you had to sign to get into the beta. I'm not sure. I didn't really get a chance to look that up because I've had a grand total of about 24 hours to do some research.
There wasn't.
Okay.
That I could recall, because I was accepted to the open beta. It was pretty much just opt-in, and I don't recall any huge page of legalese. I could be mistaken on that.
Well, Blizzard, if they put the level up sound, you kind of forget what happened before that. So, basically how this pans out is if those assets can be argued to be close enough to the original assets of the copyrighted material, even though there were modifications made, that might not be enough to protect whoever hacked them from a suit involving intellectual property theft, even though Blizzard does encourage people to help market the material, especially in the open beta. And what it really comes down to, and why this gets really complicated, is it depends how much individual transformation was done to the copyrighted material. For example, have you guys heard of a book that was turned into a movie called Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I actually have a copy of it.
Now,
the book, not the movie.
let's assume that that novel was still under copyright. That would be protected under parody, but beyond that, the work was transformative enough by using the story as a jumping-off point and changing enough of the aspects of it to avoid any sort of intellectual property theft. And you can contrast that with another book that came out called the Harry Potter Encyclopedia, which did not transform the work, even though it had less to do with the Harry Potter books themselves. It was more just a lexicon of terms and important people. So that was intellectual property theft because the people producing encyclopedia, in this case, did not do enough changes to the material in order to claim it as a work that could transform it. So we swing back to Jacob Ellis v. Ohio. I know it when I see it. So my real thing is, how hard do these companies trying to push the ban of Overwatch porn willing to go? Because if they want to chase down the whole you have to ban it because it's obscene, they're not going to get very, very far with that because, again, the Supreme Court case in 1964 kind of put to bed the issue of hardcore pornography is art. that having been said, if they want to chase down the avenue of copyright infringement and intellectual property theft, considering that they were just editing the models, if they can prove that the models are similar enough to the Overwatch models that are in the game, they actually might have a legal case there. Now, if this shenanigans ever does go to court, it's going to be a lot like the Nyan Cat Keyboard Cat thing, where the little guys are probably just going to get buried in paperwork and go away. But yeah, so that is the very surface version of why this is confusing.
That's the surface version?
Dude,
Ow, I have a headache.
It gets way more complicated than that, because the individual edits themselves per character actually start coming into the question. For example, that video that I sent you, that was the first instance of PMB that I had ever seen in my entire life. The Widowmaker character had very little edits done to it. Whereas the Tracer character in several of the shots was sporting some of the gear that she was wearing in the game. However, enough of the assets have been changed. The bigger change I would have to say in that video was the Mei character. Mostly because I think they had to model different sorts of physics in the jugs region. And by that, I mean,
you mean they added some jiggle buns?
Yeah, they
added jiggle physics.
They had to contact Team Ninja for some jiggle physics. So in those cases,
some technology that would be banned in France.
We'll get to that. But in those cases, you have to ask: is the change enough, and is it fundamental enough to constitute transformative work? And even then, if those assets were ripped without the express permission of Blizzard, Blizzard could always be persuaded to come down on these people. That having been said, it wouldn't really be a blanket case, so you would probably want to run this as a RICO case, where you're going to be having a lot of different trials about each different pornographic asset in each different instance of the pornographic medium. So that is a very easy way of describing the differences. And with each of the characters, they're in several different sorts of levels of clothedness. So that is an entirely separate digital asset from the original thing. So you could have naked May, and then you could have kind of naked May, and then you could have sort of naked May but no pants, or something like that. And those would be three different instances of copyright infringement and IP theft, potentially, that Blizzard would have to chase down just for one character in three different scenes in the same pornographic video. It's been a weird week.
How much time have you thought about this? That's the question.
Well, let's see. I started doing research at 3 in the afternoon yesterday. I went to bed at about midnight last night. Then I woke up this morning.
Okay, I think there's a better measure here. How many 55-gallon tubs of lube have you ordered from Amazon?
Surprisingly none, but Melanie is coming down tomorrow, so that might explain part of it.
Aw, yeah. Okay, so this is...
She walks in the door and there's just a drum of lube.
No, there's probably going to be some yellow ski goggles and something that keeps her anchored in time.
A purple bodysuit. Made out of latex.
Yep.
And the penetrator.
Yep. Well, with that, I would definitely want some, but that's neither.
This is more complicated than I thought it would be.
It
like,
is.
I knew that it would be complicated, and that my lack of legal knowledge would, not be able to grasp how complicated it would be. And you're saying that this is the easy version, like this is the Reader's Digest version of what's going on. And I'm sitting here going, why? Why is this so complicated?
Is it just me, or does it seem like the law is way, way behind when it comes to video games?
Well, it really is, because like I was saying earlier, each different clothing level on a particular character as long as you were saying, Blizzard didn't have naked models that they just dressed up, is itself a different model.
Can you imagine if they did the shitstorm that would happen?
I don't know if that would necessarily cause a shitstorm if the argument was to increase like some sort of physics.
I disagree, because I remember Oblivion. There was a texture that had nipples on it. And the game was pulled from major big box stores and re-rated as adults only because of it. A single texture that you were unable to access without mods for the PC version. And it's covered both the PC version and the console versions at the time. So I humbly disagree. This would cause a shitstorm, especially in today's atmosphere with people that are so crazy about sex negativity and, well, media in general, let alone video games. It would be a shitstorm of epic proportions.
Well, I think that you and I are going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Just for the reason of intent. If Blizzard can prove that let me put it this way. If Blizzard, in their non-released version of the game, had different nude models that when they released them were different because they had all of the clothing assets stapled on, and they had the nude models for fuck knows why. But that would be different. It's if it's in the game or not.
The animators get bored.
Animators do get bored. But to just close on this before we move on to something else.
It's not even intent. That's the thing, is that intent doesn't matter to a lot of these people that get so heavily triggered by Tracer's ass that it completely changes the game over one post.
Yep. Well, I guess just to wrap this up, this is a complicated shitstorm because if you had a really nitpicky either person who was interested in pursuing this or a very nitpicky lawyer who was determined to sue somebody for literally more money than there is in the universe over this, you could go...
Imagine that. A lawyer that may be able to do that?
No, it's already happened once. I mean, the case did not settle that way, but it's happened once. The thing of it is, depending on how nitpicky they want to get, each level of disrobing could be considered a different asset depending on how it was modeled. Anywho, speaking of sex negativity, do you guys want to move on to France? And if so, I am getting some texts blowing up my phone about something I need to take care of over here. So can we take a quick break, please?
We can take a quick break, but the next thing up on the docket is actually the steam machines.
Oh.
Right. So let's have some elevator music, and everyone go do or take a break. Okay, so you're back. We're all back.
Yeah, I'm just setting up my adventures real quick to get some resources.
All right. Well, the next topic on the top list, while you do that, we can start getting into this, is Valve Steam machines. So the article that we've got here, the gist of it is that they've only sold 500,000 Steam controllers, and included in that number are the Steam machines that come bundled with a controller. And there's no official numbers of the Steam machine, but that means that there have been, at the very least, less than 500,000 Steam machines sold. Because most people just buy the controller by itself.
Which I'm going to call a little bit of bullshit on this, just because not all Steam machines have a bundle that has the Steam controller. And also, the Steam machine... Well, I have a couple of things to really talk about on the Steam machine. One, I think the Steam machine was a bit mismarketed, just because they marketed it to people that already had gaming machines, or gaming PCs, I should say.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would say a vast majority of people, as soon as they announced that the Steam Link was a thing, didn't give a damn about Steam machines overall.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think a lot of the Steam machines is more of the idea of it and putting out the assets. The Steam OS, which I'm not sure of how far it's been developed as of late. and the Steam controller itself, which 500,000 of the controller. That's what you said, right?
Yeah, 500,000 of the controller, at least according to the article.
That's a hell of a lot of controllers for pretty much a brand new design of controller.
Yeah. That's a pretty high adoption rate, especially among PC gamers who, well, I mean, there are plenty of PC gamers who do use gamepads for, various things. By and large, we're a mouse and keyboard group.
Yeah, with controllers usually being driving games, platformers, that sort of thing. Granted, there are people that play shooters with controllers, but the idea that the Steam controller has gotten such a high adoption rate, I don't think you could call that dead in the water. I think that's a win for Steam, or a win for Valve, I should say. The question is, where do they go from here? Because, that's their initial push. So what is their end game, or what is the next step to their end game? Are we going to see a second version of the Steam controller, or are we going to see them streamline a bit more so like the version 2 will be a bit cheaper?
Right. Well, let me talk about Steam Machine concept for a minute. My problem with the Steam Machine is that they didn't either create their own proprietary device or go all in with one developer and have them make a Steam Machine. Because
on Steam, there's how many different versions? A dozen?
I looked up Steam Machine on the store, and there are 6.
Yeah, and that's just literally what's officially on the store. And then there's weird things like the Pinion, which was put out just before the Steam Machine started hitting the market, which it's technically not a Steam Machine, but it's getting ambiguous there. But I think the whole idea of the Steam Machine was more to give the consumers an idea of PC gaming in the living room and not at a desk, on the TV with couch co-op, and make it a more social experience. Because I will say that's where console beats PC hands down, is that console gaming can be a lot more of a social experience with a group that's together physically.
Maybe. My thought behind the Steam Machine, and the reason they screwed it up with having so many different versions of it, was that gaming and PC gaming are growing, and computers and computer technology is becoming much, much more mainstream. Compare it to like your car. Everybody, well, not everybody. Do you have a car, Rage?
Actually, no.
No. Well, most people have a car. But most of the people who have a car don't know a damn thing about it, except when one of the lights comes on the dash, you either have to put a liquid in it or take it to a mechanic.
Yeah, see the check engine light come on, you go out, pop the hood. It's like, yeah, the engine's there.
The engine's still there. I guess I'm good. But so, I think the idea of the Steam Machine was to make PC gaming much more accessible to the masses. Not that there's not already avenues for people to get high-powered PCs, but the thing is that those are incredibly expensive. Buying an Alienware PC or an XPS PC from Dell, and I'm just using that as my example.
Let's just say pre-built PCs overall isn't worth it for most people that want to get into gaming, because you're overpaying for really, at best, a mediocre computer.
Right. But so the Steam machines were that idea, but they were cheaper. Most of the Steam machines are like $700. I mean, there's a couple that are cheaper, there's a couple that are more expensive, but the ones that Valve officially endorses, most of them ran a $700 price range, which, yes, that's more than a console, but that's much less than going and buying an Alienware PC or a Dell XPS or, there's tons and tons of different...
I'm holding my tongue on you bring up Alienware so often.
I know, but it's a name that I think everybody recognizes in kind of the PC gaming space. It's...
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well...
I'm not saying it's great, but that's something that people know. And I think that was the idea behind the Steam Machine, is that, okay, we want PC gaming for the masses. The easiest way to do that, because, by and large, people don't know how to work on their PC, just like by and large, people don't know how to work on their car, we will give them a pre-built box that we recommend. And I think that that's a good idea, and I like that. But like I said, Valve screwed up on the execution, and instead of saying, okay, this is the one that we produce or this is the only one that we endorse. They went, oh, here's a range of them, which made it even more confusing for those people who already are going, I would like to do PC gaming, but I don't understand how to build a PC.
Well, if I may.
Building a PC is like putting together slightly less expensive Lego bricks.
It is, but the thing is that it's intimidating for people.
It is. So
I mean, me and you have... So, let me... One more second, Kyle. I mean, me and you, Rage, and potentially you too, Kyle, have built PCs before. Like, it doesn't scare us. This is our hobby. We are the garage mechanics of the PC world.
Mm-hmm.
But to a random person who, like, opens the hood and goes, yep, the engine's still there, they might be terrified of putting a PC together.
I mean, we started talking about the new AMD card coming out, and people are like, AM what?
My mom asked me. My mom is trying to help me, or have me help her get a new gaming rig, and I started talking about the RX 480, and her eyes glazed over. Okay, Kyle, you tried to butt in a couple times, and we shut you down. What were you gonna say?
Well, if I wasn't good enough for you then, I'm not good enough for you now. Okay, no, in all realism...
Well, fine. No, fuck off.
Okay, fuck you. My podcast.
All right, well, thank you for joining us, Kyle. Moving on to...
Okay, in my mind,
go ahead, buddy.
This strikes me as the Steam Machine endeavor is a bit of a seaplane, if you would. It's trying to bridge the gap between two different modes of people. The people who, in this case, want to fly are going to be the PC people. The people who understand more mechanics about what they know, what they want, and understand, basically what's going on. Does that make sense? And then you've got the boat people who are like the console people who are trying to basically say, okay, I just want this to work. And it's I don't know, you're trying to mix markets and you come out with a less attractive version of both things.
Okay.
So
I see that.
Right.
Because me and you are sitting here going, or, the three of us are going, well, we have our PCs. Why would we want to buy something that is, less powerful than what we have or could build for the same money?
Right.
And then on the other side, people are going, well, this is more expensive than my Xbox or whatever.
And even though it might be more powerful, my Xbox still fucking works. So.
Right.
Well, not until you build the SLI version of the Xbox.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see what they have to say about that at E3, which that's not one of our topics, E3 rumors or whatever, so we won't get into that, but I'm ready to be so snarky.
I'm looking forward to those 2 weeks. Because E3 happens right during when we're recording, so it's going to be split between 2 episodes, so it's going to be fun.
Yep. But yeah, no, I get the analogy that you're making, Kyle. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. I don't know. I think if they had done better, it would not have... The Steam Machine concept would not have done as poorly. But...
I just look at the Steam Machine as them putting assets out there and the Steam Machine boxes being the pre-made version of it. But they still shipped out the Steam OS completely free. They said that you could buy the controller if you want to get that instead of using an Xbox controller or a PS4 controller or whatever. It's the idea they're putting out there more than the Steam Machine themselves. They're trying to... Well, it gets back to the idea of the GOG Connect that we talked about last week. They're trying to push into a market that they don't really have a foothold on. The problem is that Valve really marketed to PC gamers the idea of the Steam Machine, hoping that word of mouth would spread, because that's the cheap way for them to market is to the PC gamers, because they already have millions upon millions upon millions of logins every single day onto Steam, and it fell flat. The idea of buying the pre-made machines. I'd love to see download numbers of the Steam OS. I'm not sure if it's out there or not. If it is, then that would be, I think, really indicative of just how successful this idea has really become, though.
I wonder if there are researchable numbers on that.
I'm not seeing a whole lot.
I'm not seeing anything right off the bat.
I don't really feel like doing a lot of Google food right now. I Google food myself out on our previous topic.
Yeah, and you're kind of raw still.
Well, that's why you need to have lotion. And wait a minute, you're talking about my brain, huh?
And let's just put it this way: randomly, just clicking a video, there's how to install the Steam OS, and a demo of it has 463,000 views.
So nearly 500,000.
And that's just literally one video. I mean, granted, I have no idea how popular this random Yahoo is, but
SteamOS is Linux, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's a Linux distribution.
Well,
and I'm sure one of our Linux users would be able to tell us exactly what it is.
Yeah, I pulled up the actual the Steam hardware and software survey for May 2016, and SteamOS is not listed, but they do have a Linux section.
Yeah, it's probably listed under Linux, and it mixes all those together and gives us a different number.
Yeah, well, in total, Linux only makes up 0.84% of all of the OSs that have filled out the survey. If
I recall correctly, there was a number that was put out recently about the VR headsets, the Vive and the Oculus.
Yeah.
And I think 0.08 is about the number of Vive headsets out there.
So, yeah. And I'm sure not all of these people who are using Linux are actually using SteamOS. It's just got all of the Linux systems linked or, lumped together.
And granted, that also is just the people that are getting that survey.
That's
Half
true.
the time I get that survey, I get it on my notebook and not my main computer.
That's true. I've gotten it several times on my notebook as opposed to my main computer. The top OS, Windows 10 64-bit, followed very closely by Windows 7 64-bit. They each have got roughly a third of the OS space occupied. And then the rest of the Windows operating systems make up another third of the operating space. OS X is less than 4%, and Linux is bringing up the rest with less than 1%.
Yeah, getting back to the whole topic at hand, though, I still think that this idea of the Steam box was never meant to succeed, as crazy as that sounds. It was more throwing out an idea and seeing if it sticks.
Right.
And also pushing out their own... I think where the hardware is the Steam Link and the Steam controller, which they're talking about 500,000 units not being a lot. I disagree.
I think 500,000
with
units
a
is
revolutionary controller like this.
Yeah, given the space that we're in, that we're operating in, something that's kind of not exactly on the edge of technology, but something that is, basically an accessory, a luxury, something that, that is not necessary.
Yeah, and also there's something else that's kind of telling about this that I just thought of.
What?
Okay, the Steam controller only very recently started seeing any real discounts.
Right.
Yep.
It hasn't really had any sales that would boost its numbers.
Right.
The closest that you would have is like it being packaged with Rocket League, or I know it's packaged right now with the pre-order of Civ 6. It was pre-packaged with XCOM 2, I believe, as well.
Wait, are you telling me that not only if I buy this peripheral, I can still also break the first commandment of VGL? Where the fuck do I sign up?
Do I have to get the baseball bat still?
It's on Steam. Just search for the Steam controller. It's listed under here. I'm looking at it right now. It's the third thing down. Buy Steam controller, buy Steam Link, pre-order Civ 6 plus Steam controller bundle.
Well, how much is it?
$89.98. You can buy the controller separately for $35 right now.
Fuck.
And
yeah, this is actually the first time that it's had a discount on Steam itself.
I'm very tempted to buy that right now. Very tempted.
Me too, but the thing is that we know the Steam Summer Sale is coming up in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, so at the very least, it'll be 30% off again, which is what it is right now.
Or even if it isn't, I don't want to empty out my wallet, because I have the Steam Summer Sale and also have RimWorld coming up.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't know really what else to say about this.
I think it's just more this article has missed the point.
Yeah, because we've wandered off into many other things, not just like
What,
are
we
in
had
the
a
bushes.
digression? No.
we didn't just digress. We completely changed the conversation that we started.
We did.
So I think it's time to move on to bitch about France being stupid.
Woohoo! Fuck France.
Yeah.
If we have any listeners in France,
that's
I do
sexist.
apologize. I don't mean that you're stupid, just your government.
Or at least this very particular politician.
Yeah, so the French government wants to put a sexist tag on certain videos.
Yeah, which, okay. Here's my problem with this. Well, outside of just the sexist tag in general, which the label translates in English as discrimination, by the way, is that if they're using the modern feminist version of sexism, especially considering that they were talking about Anita Sarkeesian in this article, then I hope they have a lot of those fucking tags. Because Anita Sarkeesian has been quoted on fucking video saying that literally everything is sexist, everything is racist. So what the fuck are they thinking on this?
Yeah.
Well,
Now, if you want to disagree with them giving tax breaks to video games, or to video game developers, yeah, how about bringing that point up directly instead of dragging video games more through this absolute shitstorm?
well, France is more of a nanny state than any other of the Western countries that I can think of off the top of my head.
The United States is really trying to one-up them there.
Well, my point is there's a mandatory 1 month of vacation that people have to take in France, which that's not bad in my mind. But at the same time, this comes across...
Oh, unless you're an employer.
Well, at the same time, this comes across, in my mind, as very... missing the forest for the trees by...
Yeah, they're trying to fix a problem that doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah, and not to mention, I feel like there's the idea of the discerning consumer, who this is not only insulting the intelligence of gamers, it's insulting the intelligence of basically anybody else, and automatically giving a negative spin to games where sexism may not be the primary goal of the game or anything like that.
Well, here's the thing, okay? Going back to Anita Sarkeesian once again. She called Hitman sexist because you were able to attack strippers in a level.
So?
No, that's literally her argument.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you're saying so to her argument or so to like, so what if you can kill strippers?
Yeah, so what if you can kill strippers? Look, it's all digital. None of it is real.
Because it objectifies women.
That's true, none of it is real.
Look, you could smack a pair of tits up on the screen and say, beat these to death, and while it wouldn't be the most progressive thing in the world, it's still not fucking real, so I don't really... I get that art reflects the culture around it, but at the same time, you have to take a step back and look at the intent behind it.
They did that in Duke Nukem, you know. You could smack the alien tits.
Yeah, and I applaud him for doing that. I mean, it's still digital. That's fucking hilarious. I mean, I still wouldn't buy Duke Nukem forever, but, you know, that's for other reasons.
I mean,
This is just mind-bogglingly stupid.
Yep.
I have talked time and time again on this show, and in the real world, and to you guys off camera and everything, about sexism and feminism, and just... It really doesn't make any sense to me where feminism has gone.
I've shut you down a couple times just sharing a couple of nuggets of information I've dug up.
I really think that this is ridiculous. Feminism, modern feminism, is a joke. The feminism that we had in the up through the 70s,
Here's the thing.
80s, maybe even in the 90s, absolutely, that was necessary. Big strides were made in equality between the sexes. A lot of progress has been made because of feminism, but
it's become a cult. It's trying to fix problems that no longer exist because they won.
Feminism can't be an ideology, and that is what feminism has attempted to become. An ideology. It was a movement that was necessary back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, before then as well. But I mean, you know what I'm saying. It was a movement that was necessary. It accomplished its goals, though. You can't turn something that is intended to only bring about change into an ideology. It can't be a set of worldviews.
What if you dye your hair?
It can't be a worldview. It just can't. Feminism does not compute with a worldview. As much as I disagree with religion...
You're just saying that because you have a penis.
As much as I disagree with religion, Christianity, Islam, like all religion, I disagree with organized religion. It makes sense as an ideology because it has a set of rules that go along with it that make sense. It gives you, regardless of whether or not I think they're right or wrong, rules to live your life by that make sense. Feminism is an ideology. It was designed to create change, to create movement, to create equality between the genders, which it did. There are still people who are sexist, absolutely, just like there are still people who are racist, and there always will be, because humanity is kind of shitty. But this is stupid. This broke. I was trying really hard not to think about it, not to go there, but I can't not. This is just garbage, and the French government is stupid for doing that. I think it's dumb.
This is just adding fuel to the fire for people that are saying video games are terrible and should be outlawed or should be heavily controlled. That children shouldn't be allowed to play video games. That you're a terrible person if you play video games.
Well, I'm a terrible person, but that has nothing to do with video games.
One day, we should get into the does video games cause violence argument, which it doesn't. Don't even think for 1 second that I'm suggesting that it does. But I actually would like to just talk about that in detail because I'm pretty familiar with that subject. I wrote my
add it to the list.
I wrote my thesis on video games and things like behaviorism in video games and do they cause violence. And I've done a shitload of research into that.
When we get around to that general topic, make sure I have plenty of mobile games loaded on my phone. Got it.
Yeah. I could go on for a while about that. But just, I'm going to get off my soapbox before I just keep ranting and raving. This is stupid. The French government, if this passes into law, because it's just they want to do it. They're not doing it yet. But if this passes, I will be really sad for France.
Well, this is going to take away video games out of France because they are attacking the tax benefits for developers.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and also I think this will make it so that developers that aren't in France won't want to put their games there because they'll be labeled sexist.
Yeah,
that's terrible marketing.
Well, I mean, the same.
It's like Fallout having Fallout reworking their medicine in Fallout 3 because they wanted to actually get into Australia, and Australia wouldn't allow them to have morphine in their game.
Thinking about it,
it's the same basic idea.
Thinking about it, this France thing is actually starting to make a lot of sense. See, I believe in...
You've been drinking.
I have been, but that's neither here nor there. I believe that there's a sense of equilibrium in the world. That as Australia becomes a little bit more liberal with their video game laws, some other country has to do something fucking stupid. Sorry, that was...
well, Australia's not exactly being all that intelligent lately, though. They passed their 18-plus rating, and then they are still refusing games.
Yeah.
That would fall under it.
Well... Hey, man.
Australia's making progress, though. I mean, I follow a couple of...
I got to give Australia a little bit of benefit of the doubt. I mean, if literally everything on your fucking continent is trying to kill you, dealing with video games that are super violent, it's like, do I really want to play this? I mean, I've dealt with more dangerous things going to get the paper this morning.
Well, I just have
Fair point.
I have 4 numbers for you that should give you encouragement. 2025, 2025.
Yes.
It's coming up.
Assuming we don't blow ourselves up or build a wall.
Or blow up a wall.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Even if Trump becomes president, we'll be fine.
I got to hear the ball rising there.
I mean, it'll be shitty if he becomes president, but,
Sorry about the bile, I have been drinking.
All right. I'm ready to move off of this topic before I have an aneurysm.
Okie dokie.
So
yeah, I want to put it out there. If someone supports this, email us. We want to hear this.
I'd love to know why. If someone, and I don't want to scare anybody away, if somebody who's listening to this lives in France or agrees with what the French government is doing, I won't like call you all sorts of names and stuff. I am perfectly capable of having a civil discussion, debate, argument, whatever you want to call it. Just some things push my buttons, and when governments stick their noses where they don't belong, that pushes my button because I'm a bit of a libertarian. Not like hugely libertarian, but things like this shouldn't be the government's responsibility. And that's what makes me mad more than anything.
And the fact that they are actively trying to... Let's be perfectly honest here. They are actively trying to dissuade any developers that would fall under this just by removing tax breaks.
On the bright side of things, this might do some damage to Ubisoft, and we hate them, so...
Yeah, but...
Well, so do Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, but Ubisoft is in the process of being bought out anyway, so, they're already fucked.
Yeah, but still, fuck Ubisoft.
Yeah, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, well, as much as I dislike Ubisoft, I don't want random indie developers in France to have to put up with this bullshit.
That would suck, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as I want to see Ubisoft kind of burn, I don't want to see the world to burn with it.
Right.
I mean, granted, for France, it would probably smell like burnt, smelly cheese and baguettes and a lot of cigarettes, but still. How many other stereotypes can I fit in there? Maybe some burnt replicas of the Eiffel Tower.
Can you make a joke about surrendering somehow?
It smells like defeat.
Well, I would, but I'm just going to give up on that.
Well played, sir. Well played. Okay, let's talk about another...
Retreat!
Let's talk about another topic that can be frustrating from time to time, which is there an actual maximum frames per second the human eye can see?
Yeah, this is your topic, so
yeah.
I'm going to load up another mobile game.
So we've made lots of jokes about this in the past, and obviously 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second is not the maximum frame rate that the human eye can perceive. But for some reason, after we made the joke about it last week, I was like, is there an actual upper frame limit that the human eye can perceive? And I do apologize if I use a couple of terms incorrectly while I speak. The human eye is not a camera, or not a camera lens, but a lot of the language is interchangeable. So if I accidentally say something incorrectly, please
don't worry, they'll just write in and call you a Nazi.
Yeah, that's fine. Write in.
Literally Hitler.
Literally Hitler. I'm literally Hitler.
You heard it. He confessed.
I did.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Well, we're not even playing Secret Hitler yet.
I've got my copy of Mein Kampf sitting over here, actually. I was just reading through it before we started recording a few hours ago.
Thinking, wow, that's a good idea. Now I'm just thinking the indoctrination scene in Starlog 17. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Okay, I'm going to have to go get a link while you talk. Hang
on.
So I was not able to establish a maximum number that the eye can see. There's a whole lot of reports out there. Some of them say up to 1,000. Some of them say several hundred. None of them say 30, 60, 24, 100 FPS, like that sort of thing. Like none of them say anything that low. So I wound up doing some more research, and there's going to be two links. One of them is to an article that is fairly understandable to read, and the other one is a YouTube video that I think gives the best overall explanation of this. But the gist of what I figured out was that the average human eye can easily distinguish up to 100 FPS, like no problem. That's average human eye. People who have eyes that have been trained or otherwise have kind of perfect vision, so to speak, can easily distinguish frame rates up to around 500 FPS, which I thought was fascinating. I didn't think it would be that high. I figured that it would be somewhere around the 200 range so that we would be able to distinguish differences in frame rate. but actually some people can get all the way up to around 500. There have been a couple of individuals who could actually spot differences up to 1,000 FPS, and that's where those studies came from. Like, oh, humans can watch a video at 1,000 FPS, and it would be amazingly fluid. But the problem is once you start getting into frame rates above around 150 FPS for the average person, you start to get a lot of eye strain. The U.S. Army the United States Air Force did some testing with fighter pilots to try and figure out what the kind of maximum visual acuity was. And they were doing tests on how much information they could pick up about airplanes that were shown to them at differing frame rates. And the average fighter pilot could make out the make and model of a plane at an image that flashed by them at 1/200th or 1/220th of a second. And they could show them differing images back to back. So 220 FPS, they could cycle different planes in front of them. And they could do that for 15 or 20 seconds, and the pilots could tell you the different planes that came before their eyes. Most of them could get quite a few. The problem is once you get to frame rates that high, most people tend to start having a lot of eye strain because your brain, the reason that our brains use motion blur in real life is that it becomes very difficult to process all that visual information incredibly quickly. So you'll notice when you drive, for example, the road in front of you is very clear and crisp, and even things like right to the side of the road where you need to focus. But out of the main focus of your eyes, things start to get blurry. So the trees, houses, whatever, if you're moving at speed. Whenever you stare at an image on a screen that's entirely in focus, your brain can't do that because everything is in the same, as at the same depth. So your brain can't create motion blur for a smooth image on the screen. So at anything over around 150 FPS, most people start to get eye strain and eventually headaches from watching really crisp moving images. So that's one of the reasons that racing games use artificial motion blur. It's not just to make it look like you're moving fast, it's to help your brain, because even at 60 to 100 FPS in a game like a racing game where you're moving very quickly and the scenery is changing very rapidly, your eyes and your brain struggle to process all of that information quickly, and it starts to give you headaches. It was really fascinating. But it just, my whole thing was, some people say, oh yeah, no, 30 FPS is it. That's not even close. The average person, like I said, can easily distinguish the difference between 90, 60, 90, 120.
So you're saying like 144 FPS, or the 144 hertz monitors that are out now is about all that the average consumer really needs in the future.
Yeah.
At least for the time being. Who knows what technology will come out in the future that could raise that bar?
Yeah.
But it requires some real trickery, I guess, would be the proper way to say it.
Yeah, really what fascinated me is it's not FPS. It doesn't have anything to do with how many frames you can see, because people can see extremely fast frame rates very clearly.
It's just the
your brain,
nature of the monitor.
Yeah, then the nature of your brain can't process it. That's the thing. Like your
stupid brain.
Yeah, your brain.
The brain.
Yeah, but 144 hertz monitor is, without some sort of technological aid to kind of ease some of the strain on your brain, is about as high as the average consumer can go. Which is, that's the top end monitors right now.
I do have to wonder something though.
What?
Okay, you were talking about how the average person. I wonder what would happen if children growing up around 144 hertz monitors, would they be able to look at them without as much strain? Would their brains be wired differently?
I don't know. That's interesting. The brain is constantly evolving throughout our life. Lots of medical studies have shown that even up to people in their middle-aged, when they have brain damage, their brain will regrow new neural pathways to process information at least the same level of efficiency, and sometimes brain damage causes people to have more highly efficient brains.
Right.
So children who grow up in a world where the higher frame rate is the norm might actually be able to overcome current limitations just by kind of, I guess, evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having all that information coming in whenever they're playing a game or watching television. Even.
Yeah.
Right.
And, I mean, that does have to boil down to neuroplasticity and the explosive growth years between birth and about 5.
Right, but I mean, your brain does
put
continue.
your kid in front of the TV and have them play Minecraft at 350 FPS, and they'll become jet pilots.
Well, if
your brain does continue to grow and develop, though, up until you're around 25, and that's when it starts to really plateau out.
Fuck. Are you telling me it's all downhill from here?
No, it's not. It doesn't really go downhill.
Yes,
until
it
you're in
is.
your 40s,
Thank you, Rage.
At least in terms of your brain.
2025, everybody.
Touche. Missed that joke. Was concentrating on the facts. I'm in fact mode
Hey,
right now.
we're dealing with cold hard speculation, not idle fact over here.
Fair enough. But, I mean, I just found that fascinating. I really had no idea what I was expecting, except I know from my own experience being able to distinguish between 30, 60, 90, and 144 hertz. Like, I can tell the difference. So I know that, you know, it's not like the average person. Well, I suppose I could have been above average, but, I mean, I'm pretty average. My eyesight's really shitty. If I, you know, me with shitty eyesight, if I can tell that, people with normal eyesight should be able to do at least that, if not better. So it was a good study time. I learned a lot during reading articles and watching YouTube video explanations and stuff like that.
In between all the Overwatch porn.
Yeah, I did watch some more Overwatch porn. But way to drag us back down, Rage. I was bringing us up to a podcast of professional high learning, and here we are back at Overwatch.
Well,
porn.
I think I can save the situation.
Okay, save it.
Tits.
More of an ass man myself, but those are good too.
And we just got labeled as Sexist in France.
That's okay.
Actually, that'd be a hell of a band name, Sexist in France.
Wasn't
Actually,
that a Weird
sounds
Al
like
song?
a really badass band.
What was that, Jared?
I said that sounds like a really awesome band name.
I agree.
Only if they have as stereotypical French outfits as possible
They
when they
dress like
play.
mimes.
Exactly. And berets.
Yep.
It's all instrumental.
Well, no, it's mime. They all pretend to play instruments.
It's an air guitar band.
Sounds badass. Have you actually seen the air guitars?
No.
Like, I've seen them as a Japanese kind of toy thing, and it's a guitar. It's the neck of a guitar, and it's got little sensors on it. And you play air guitar, and it actually plays guitar sounds based on where you put your fingers and the way that you strum in the air.
Okay, you know what? I take that back. I have seen that before.
It's pretty legit. Let me go look for that on Amazon. If I can find it, I'll buy it. Actually, I wouldn't do that, but
Well, if it's $10 or less
Only if it has a train on it.
and has a train on it.
yeah, if it's got a train or Overwatch porn.
Well, maybe that's the next iteration of the band train, Overwatch porn.
Oh. Okay, have we learned enough? Are we ready to move on to Community Corner?
Sure.
I think so.
All right. Well, for this week's Community Corner, we got one letter from the Podfather.
Yes, our Podfather sent us a message that he wished to have us discuss.
J. Arthur, Caffeine Rage, this is your Podfather speaking, and I have an offer you cannot refuse. I want you to talk about Disney Infinity. What have we ever done for them to treat the game with such disrespect? And do you think LEGO Dimensions is a suitable replacement? If you do me this service, I will forever be in your debt.
Okay, yeah. So Disney Infinity, that came up in the news a few weeks ago.
I'm pretty sure we had it on the topic list at one point, but it was pretty soon after our general topic episode where we brought it up as well.
Right. Kyle, you were a little bit confused when we were talking about how we were going to handle this. Do you get what we're talking about right now?
Sure.
Kyle's just playing Factorio.
He's playing Factorio, yeah.
Whatever you say. God damn it, aliens! What? No, I'm not playing Factorio.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on Disney Infinity? Have you seen in the news in the last few weeks where they were getting it shut down?
No, but that actually makes a lot of sense in my mind.
Why does it make sense in your mind for Disney Infinity to be being shut down?
Well, because then, for two reasons. One, from a market perspective, each of the actual figures value. And if they bring it back at some point, that cause a groundswell. But if we're talking about Lego Dimensions, maybe. I mean, Lego tried an MMO before. I don't think many people remember that, but
yeah, it came out right around the time that Minecraft came out.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
Minecraft just wiped the floor with it.
fucking destroyed Lego MMO. So in this case, it's a pick and mix, I think, between Disney leaving money on the floor, or they're wanting to free up assets to do something else, or it's some kind of marketing, because I don't know if you'd heard, but Disney likes to play the long game.
They do.
Yeah, and for Disney Infinity, it requires so much money to get set up.
Right. The bar to entry is high.
And they weren't exactly doing themselves any favors, if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here. They were doing essentially yearly releases and completely obsoleting all their stuff beforehand.
Well, this
So
could
it
also
was brand new. It was brand new stuff every single time around, and once they got to, I think they ended on the third iteration. Once they got to the third iteration, they weren't having enough people coming back once again to really make it successful. And this is two markets that is very expensive to get into: toys and video games.
Right.
And to make those play together, it adds even more expense.
You're partially correct in what you just said, Rage. Disney,
which is better than usual.
Disney was doing a yearly release of Infinity that was like a huge update. The new stuff was backwards compatible, the old stuff would, like the old figures and things would work on the new version of the game, but none of the new versions would work on the old stuff. So like if I have Disney Infinity 2.0, 3.0 was the one that had all the Star Wars stuff. If I wanted to use any of the Star Wars figurines, I would have had to have gotten the 3.0 version. All of the stuff that I have from 2.0 would work, but none of the new stuff would work on my old pad or anything like that. Like all of them were different.
Yeah, which for kids, that is very hard to understand.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
I think it's a fair thing to say that this was made mostly for children.
Yes. Yes, they
And
were.
Biff.
And
me. I love Disney Infinity. I love my Marvel stuff.
Well, I haven't heard you talk about it.
Kyle, you better watch out. You shouldn't insult the Podfather. You'll wake up with a mangled microphone in your bed.
Oh.
Or maybe a Kerbal helmet.
So, okay, if insulting the Podfather gives me KSP swag, I would do that all the time.
That's a fair point. Although I've been insulting him for over a year at this point, he never gives me any swag. So, I in all of the news that I read when this was happening, like it was actually big, instead of a thing that has already happened. Disney, the main reason that they stopped was that they were losing money. The problem with Disney, all right, Disney already has a huge toy market,
Mm-hmm.
and Disney was trying to they were cannibalizing their toy market to make this video game.
Mm-hmm.
So they were making, every few months they would have a release of new figures, like 6 to 8 different figures, and they would mass produce thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of every figure so they could fill every store shelf. They weren't moving that many because they have toys already. So the people who had the toys already were just sticking to the toys, and they didn't have the Disney Infinity things. So they were cannibalizing some of their toy market, and then the toy market was just cannibalizing the rest of the Infinity products.
Mm-hmm.
And they had too many. So compared to the Amiibos, which Nintendo refuses to produce enough of them, Disney had the opposite problem. They were making too many. So they were losing money. And that was ultimately what they said, was that we weren't making any money on them. We're going to finish up the releases we had planned, which there were 2 more that were coming out this year, 2 more sets. The Frozen set, and I don't remember what the other one was. But
they just couldn't let it go.
God, the Frozen set is going to sell like gangbusters.
Oh no, they let it go. They let it go. It can't hold them back anymore.
On so many levels.
But so they are, they're releasing the 2 sets that they already had planned, probably because the toys have already been produced and are sitting in a warehouse somewhere. And then they're done, and they will sell out the units that exist, and I don't know if they'll come back to it or not. I think perhaps in the future they will. They'll wait maybe a couple years.
Maybe if they could figure out a way to streamline it a bit more, or learn exactly how many they should be producing.
Yeah.
Because I think they want to basically try to hit 0. They don't want to be like Nintendo and be happy with always being more demand than they can supply. Which, Nintendo, that's really hurt them in the long run, in my opinion, is that they're happy being undersupplied.
Yeah. I mean, really what Infinity needs to do is to figure out how to be more like Skylanders. Skylanders is the biggest one of these in that toy market, because there's a lot more Skylanders out there than there are Amiibo. And while there were more Infinity than Amiibo, Disney went too far with Infinity. They had too much. Skylanders is the perfect happy medium. And if Disney Infinity is going to come back, it needs to be much more like Skylanders. I could imagine Disney bringing it back in a couple of years once the stocks that they have are sold down and they've had a couple of years to reevaluate their business plan and then try again. I could see that happening, but in the same turn, I also wouldn't be surprised if Disney was just like, nah, we get enough money from everything else. We don't need to bother with this.
Yeah, but they could always get more.
I think if they do come back, they're going to have to change how they do things. And maybe they won't call it Disney Infinity anymore. Maybe they'll make a new brand to try to detach themselves from this. Maybe failure is not the proper term for it, but lack of success.
Yeah.
I would call it stagnation.
Yeah, stagnation. I think that's good. The thing that Skylanders has done that works in this market is Skylanders has more to sell it than just the toys. Infinity never really did anything, at least in my opinion, to really change or evolve their series. They just would release new toys, and every year they would release the next version of Infinity, which really, at most, were graphical updates and adding in the new assets for the new toys. All of the levels were basically the same. The toy box concept came out with 2.0, but they didn't evolve it at all. Because the problem with the toy box is that you couldn't mix different things in the toy box. So the toy box, in case you don't know, is like this kind of world builder where you could go and build like a little world, and you could take your figures and you could put them in the world, and you could decorate your house and create little challenge levels and stuff like that. But they didn't allow you to mix and match any of the assets in the toy box. So if you wanted to play with like the Star Wars characters, for example, you had the Star Wars toy box you could play with. And then the Marvel characters had the Marvel toy box. And then the classic Disney characters had their toy box. And it would be
likely
cool.
Due to licensing agreements for all of those.
Probably.
Not wanting to interact them.
Probably.
Well, I think there's a more simple explanation for it.
What is your more simple explanation?
It's to appeal to people like Jared, who think that mixing of things is a bad idea, considering the Nazi ties.
That's excellent joke, but no, actually, I want to mix my Marvel and my Star Wars.
I know, I'm sorry, I
Nazi,
couldn't
it
resist.
coming.
No, that was good. That was good. You
Yay.
get some applause there. But, that's what it was missing. And it was missing things like Track Team, which Skylanders did, which introduced a new mechanic to the game that didn't require anything extra. It was like you could take some of the discs that you already had and like capture creatures from the game on the discs and use those to power up your existing characters faster, and like just lots of little neat things like that they used to evolve the series over time. Whereas Infinity didn't have any of that. So, I mean, they overreached in terms of toys, and they didn't do enough to innovate the game series, and so not enough of them sold. So Now, to answer Biff's second question, can Lego Dimensions fill the void?
I do think this will cause a power vacuum.
I don't think so.
I agree.
I don't think it will do either of those. I don't think it's either of them. I don't think Lego Dimensions will fill the void, and I don't think it's creating a power vacuum because, I mean, I don't think that there's a power vacuum to fill. The thing with these is they're very, even though they're kind of the same thing, Amiibo, Skylanders, Infinity.
Yeah, maybe it is the licensing more than anything else than it just being the same basic idea. I will admit that I don't know all that much about these.
I do. That's why I'm doing most of the talking, I think.
But I'm just being wrong.
But Lego Dimensions, Disney Infinities,
and giving the Podfather something to listen to.
Skylanders, and did I say all of them? Amiibo. Are, even though they're the same idea, video game toys or whatever, video games and toys combined, they all are executed in such different ways that it's not like we're losing, a big three. It's not like Disney Infinity, Amiibo, and Skylanders are like these three things sitting on top of like a video game toys bubble and the bubble burst. Like, it's not that. They were three incredibly different entities, and Lego Dimensions is a bit more like Skylanders, but it's still separate enough that it's not like we're filling a void.
Well, I agree with that, but at the same time, I feel like Nintendo too. Nintendo capitalized on a market that was combining two things, where they have their video games, but they work without the amiibos, whereas Infinity doesn't really work without the Disney Infinity little figurines. So by doing
it doesn't.
By doing the inverse, they were sort of kneecapping themselves right from the start. And Skylanders I'm not too familiar with, but I mean, if they found some happy marriage of the two, I don't think that there's really, like you were saying, anything to fill, because realistically there's always going to be games, and people are always going to naturally gravitate towards either things that are more gimmicky or things that are a more complete and cohesive experience.
Right. Actually, that's a really good way to describe the difference between the two. Skylanders is a very complete, unique experience, and Disney Infinity was very gimmicky. Skylanders it created its own world. It sold you on its world mechanics and the things that they added to it, whereas Disney Infinity only tried to sell you on the Disney IPs. Oh, you want to play with Marvel characters? Sweet, here you go. You want to play a Star Wars game with some Star Wars characters? Sweet, here you go.
You want to see Iron Man punch Darth Vader in the face? Fuck you.
Yeah, you can't do that because you can't mix the two. But
yeah, which, like we already covered, is perfectly fine for you.
Yep.
I do not regret that joke.
So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Oh, great and mighty Podfather.
I hope that doesn't sound like garbage in post.
Well, I mean,
Well, remember, you're going to have a backing track, most likely.
Yep.
Oh, wait, you don't know about that.
This is cricket chirp. Chirp, chirp.
Oh. So, yeah, I mean, do either of y'all have anything that you want to add to my ramblings on a topic that I somewhat know what I'm talking about?
No, because I really don't know what I'm talking about there. Most of what I know is from the Nintendo side and how they're completely incompetent with their supply chains as of late.
Well, I mean, that's not a new thing. They've had two full shipments of Amiibo stolen in the UK in the past year-ish.
I must not be paying that much attention to the news because I didn't see that.
Yeah, I think it was about a year ago, actually. I want to say, it was around the time that, what's the Squid Kid?
Splatoon.
Yeah, around the time Splatoon came out, a truck in the UK, like a semi-truck, was stolen, and inside the truck was all of the UK shipment of Splatoon Amiibo. The truck was stolen.
Jeez.
Never seen from again.
Wow.
And then that happened again, I want to say 2 or 3 months ago, with another. It was just a general shipment of Amiibo, I think. But someone stole another semi-truck full of Amiibo in the UK.
Well, that's
I
weird
would
that they
think
would straight
there
up
would be more
disappear.
amoebas in the UK than just a semi-truck.
Both of you talked at the same time. I have no idea what either of you said.
Well, I think the
Sorry,
thing
it
of it
just kind of
is
struck
that
me odd. And now we're both shutting up.
Okay, Kyle, you first.
oh, well, I think that's weird that they straight up disappeared. I mean, if somebody steals something, I mean, obviously you have an intent to fence. I mean, that's what happened back when I was working down in like the packing district. Occasionally, trucks would get stolen, and once people figured out it was either meat or yogurt, they would either sell the meat or just leave the yogurt on the side of the road.
I think the speculation at the time was that they were going to be sold in other European markets outside of the UK. So when I said they were never seen again, it was they were never seen again.
Right, and that's my point. Which means, I mean, did somebody from France decide that those things were sexist and then drive them right into the channel? Who fucking knows?
They probably did. All right, Rach, what were you saying?
I was just a little shocked that it was the UK shipment of that particular character was a semi-truck.
Yep. The entire shipment was in one semi-truck, one 18-wheeler, or lorry, as they say in the UK. And the Queen's English.
Yeah, but they also call various things pudding, and
Yeah, but that's not pudding. That's cake.
All right.
Also,
all right.
if this is the Rail on England segment of the podcast,
Okay.
I would like to.
we're gonna get an angry badger.
Oh,
here,
pitch pot. She's in
pretty soon, I
Japan.
think.
There's a bigger ocean between me and her now. Basically, the English declared war on flavor years ago, and they have definitely won.
Are you saying they don't have taste?
No, they have taste. They just choose to ignore it. The last time I was in England, I went to a place. I won't tell you the name of the place because it's called Byron Burger. And they tried to do a take on hamburgers. So basically, it was the blandest meat I'd ever had in my life with like some dill pickle relish on it. Which is why I feel very conflicted, because one of my favorite restaurants of all time is English in origin, I think. It's called Nando's. It's fucking fantastic, and it needs to jump the pond, like, now.
I've never had Nando's, but I've heard that it's incredibly delicious.
It is so fucking good. Next time you're in DC, there's 2 there. But other than that, I mean, they need to fucking get one in Chicago, because I would totally ride the train in for that. What the fuck were we talking
Those
about?
places are all very far away from me.
I could get to DC in, I think, 6 or 7 hours.
I believe it's a 12-hour drive for me to go to DC.
I would probably just want to contact my friend with an airplane.
All right. So don't we have a couple of tweets?
Yeah, we actually do. Be Cool talks about, unfortunately, concealed carry Luger PO8 just isn't practical.
I can make it practical.
Well,
Besides, you need your Nazi gun, right?
I do. I have to have it. Otherwise, I'm not complete without it.
And then one directly to me from Jim Tucker in response to me bringing up Space Agency, talking about my issues with it, saying that I should have used a fairing, which I actually tried that. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. But I never got it to accept a fairing with the resupply vehicle that I was having trouble with that mission.
oh, that's a nose cone. See.
No, these were fairings.
Well, no, I think you need to put like an escape tower on it.
No, trust me. I tried about everything that was available, and it just wouldn't take. And I eventually just got frustrated. But he also then tweeted me the completion achievement via iOS. So maybe it was an Android thing, which is very possible as well. Because I did look into the reviews, and there was a lot of people complaining about various bugs. So it may just be the Android version is buggy.
That is the one downside to the Android operating system, various Android operating systems compared to iOS. There's many different specs and operating systems that are in use at the same time. Whereas with iOS, everything just moves forward as it marches through time on the same operating system. So that is one positive thing to Apple products. Much easier to develop for.
That, and you could just fold the iPhone and put it in your pocket, or at least that one particular type.
I got the joke. I get it.
Oh, sorry. That was rather mean to iPhone users, wasn't it?
I mean, I have very much expressed my dislike for Apple products on the podcast multiple times. I mean, the only reason I have an iPad is because it's required by my clinic to have one. Stupid. Because Apple is more secure and they meet with HIPAA requirements.
It never has
What?
a virus.
No, they aren't more secure. It's just nobody. God damn it.
I know they're not more secure. You know they're not more secure. But the idiots who are in charge of the clinic don't understand reason or even evidence.
Well, like I said,
That's rather scary, actually.
Well, like I said, we're dealing with cold hard speculation here, not idle fact.
Are those all of our tweets?
Yeah, that's actually a very small community corner, but then again, considering it's only been a few days since it's been
less than
a
24
day and a half
hours
since the podcast has gone
A
out.
little more than 24.
Yeah. Yep.
What
They
was
said
that
it was
count?
a little more than 24 hours, but hey, you guys wanted to know about Overwatch porn.
Absolutely, we want to know about Overwatch porn.
And believe me, my audio letter would have gone surface, a little deeper, thrusted deeper, and then we would have climaxed with a conclusion. Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have played it because I would have a headache.
The only time where you get off and have a headache without a migraine.
So, believe it or not, guys, we're actually coming in on time.
Believe it or not, we're walking.
Actually, we're doing better than that because we took our break in the middle, and it took us a few minutes
Yeah,
before we actually got started.
I'm looking at 2.5 hours right
fucking
now.
sprinkles.
Yeah. Rage.
Yeah, this feels weird. Maybe we should just start picking up something from the general topics list.
Nah, it's fine. Rage, do you have anything different coming out on your channel that you can talk about at this point, or is it not been enough days?
Not really. It's pretty much the same. I'm fighting, trying to get the last remnant to actually allow me to beat this boss battle. I'm still grinding away on it, on it off screen. It's getting very, very frustrating.
You're still in the same place?
Yes.
My heart goes out to you, buddy.
Well, I haven't attempted the boss fight yet. Again, it's I'm probably going to record tomorrow night. And I'm just trying to get probably about another 6 or 7 battle rank. Yeah, only that many.
Fancy. I mean, that's not,
Which
that's not super hard. A little bit time consuming, but not.
Yeah, it's time. That's the problem, is that it's been time consuming on 3 separate occasions now.
Right. Well, I mean, you're basically describing the rest of the game. I mean, I don't mean this in a bad way, but if you're concerned about it taking so long, that's a trend for the rest of the game.
Well, it's not even the fact that it's time consuming. It's that it's frustrating because I literally just finished grinding and then I'm hitting it again. So literally after recording a single episode.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you'll get a little bit of time. Like, story-wise, the next part's going to be another battle like that. But you've actually got a little bit of time between then and there. I bet you could get at least 1, maybe 2 more episodes in before you have to go grind again for the next boss fight.
I'm very close to dropping this and going to another project that I've had on the back burner for quite a while. I won't say what it is because it seems like every time I bring up a project that I'm planning, it falls through. Fucking Ubisoft.
All right, well.
But the last remnant is in danger of me just dropping it just because of frustration. That and, well, I think it's also partly how the battle system works, how it's a bit random on what commands you get. Or at least it seems to be. I can't figure out a way to make it so that a unit would always have the option to heal outside of just having be damaged past a certain threshold, which for this boss fight in particular is really damning because if it doesn't one shot me, it comes damn close. so I'm trying to keep my units as healed as possible.
You should. How many people do you have that can heal in your union?
Usually at least one, sometimes two, or even three.
You should. One can be iffy, but usually if you've got 2 healers in your union, you should be able to heal all the time. I'm
not sure if I'm just doing something wrong with this, which is very possible, by the way. I'm not pretending to know exactly what I'm doing with this game, just because it is rather obtuse.
What types of healers do you use? Magic healers or?
I have actually both the herb guys and the magic healers.
Do you mix them in your unions, or do you use one type per union?
I try to keep them one type per union, but even the unions that has access to both, like one of my big guys will have the access to the herbs on top of everything else.
Yeah,
and I'll still put a more dedicated healer in there. It still won't allow me.
That's so strange, because I've never had that problem before. I don't know if... I mean, it might be something...
It could be something that they changed from the Xbox version to the PC version, because, like I've said before, they have changed the battle system.
No, even in the PC version, I pretty much could always heal whenever I needed to.
Yeah, there was one time towards the end of a recent episode that I decided to go poke one of the dragons that was just out in the open. I was below level and was trying to just fill time.
Yeah.
And I wiped because I didn't have a healing option at one point.
That's so strange. I mean, if you don't have the herbs to use for healing, that makes sense why you couldn't heal. But magic healers...
Trust me, I have at least 50 of both type of herbs.
Magic healers should be able to heal. Like, you should have the option to heal pretty much all the time. I don't know. I mean, it could be something that has changed even since the last time I played it, because it's been at least a year since I played Last Remnant, maybe longer.
Or I'm literally just doing something wrong.
Or you could be doing something wrong, but I don't know what. I mean, I used to put all of my healers either in the middle of my formation or in the back of my formation. Like, if I was using more of a box or, depending on the formation type. I always tried to keep them protected formation-wise so that in a head-on attack, they would be less likely to take damage. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but...
I have my healers usually off to the side. I have... I can't think of the name of the formation. And I'm just blanking on it now. I've been swapping around different formation types, seeing if that helps. It's just proven to be very frustrating.
Yeah. So strange. I don't know. I wish I could tell you how to fix that, because I don't believe I've ever had that problem before, ever. But...
Yeah, the fight that I had with Just Rush and Emma, when they stupidly went off on their own.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the problem with this, is also I'm getting frustrated with some of the stupidity in the storyline. Yes, I realize JRPG and plot... you have to have some stupidity in the plot, especially with these little kids, but Emma's older than this. She should know better.
Going out and using weapons that aren't probably big and killing actual goddamn dinosaurs, and then the world saves itself because, oh no, we need the world. Yeah, I remember. I was there. Jab, jab, poke, poke.
Emma's... Oh man, there's some stuff that happens with her that I can't talk about. It's very...
I know. It's likely honor above reason.
Oh man, Emma.
But let's see. Beyond that, I think I'm done bitching about The Last Remnant, at least for now. I recorded my ending for Darksiders, so that's going to be wrapping up over on the next couple of weeks.
Fancy.
Well, can I recommend?
Didn't care for Darksiders nearly as much as I thought I would going in.
Can I recommend something?
I never got the hang of dodging properly. It just seemed like half the time I would dodge, and either I would still get hit and dodge after I take the hit, or I would dodge and the enemy would actually adjust for my dodge and still hit me.
Interesting.
And that's not counting the times that I dodged and I didn't dodge far enough with War, and he still got hit by the splash damage.
Yeah, that would suck. Well, can I recommend something?
Not Dark Souls.
Damn it.
I've already had someone say, you should play Dark
You
Souls.
absolutely should. The story is fan-goddamn-tastic. You have to dig for it a little bit, but it's amazing.
I don't mind digging for story, but Dark Souls has never really appealed to me.
Well, if you want to see it, you can see it on my channel. But
I had a friend that, while he was playing Dark Souls 2, I believe it was, we would talk pretty much every night, and he would just go on and on and on and fucking on about Dark Souls and literally everything he did in those games. And I got exhausted of Dark Souls without even installing Dark Souls.
well, now I'm glad my random act of generosity wasn't Dark Souls yesterday.
Well, I think you could see my playtime on Dark Souls is if it's not 0, it's very low because of probably cards, because of Steam Idler. Actually, let me go see what my hours is on Dark Souls. Because I do own the first one.
The first one is the best one.
I own 1 and 2.
I am trying to soldier through 3 right now, and it's kicking my teeth in.
Well, right now I'm trying to soldier through Steam, actually trying to load my library. It's like, oh god, don't bring up the master library.
Huh. I just realized I have no achievements in Factorio, despite playing over 100 hours.
I have no achievements either.
They're all insane. Jesus.
Yeah.
Produce 25,000 advanced circuits per hour.
Dark Souls shows
What
as
the
no time
fuck?
played.
Why would you ever need that?
What was that? What was the achievements in Factorio? I didn't even look at them before.
There's a whole bunch of them, but this one, Circuit Veteran 3, produced 25,000 advanced circuits per hour.
Oh, wait, per hour?
Yeah.
So if it's just a rate, you just need to hit an optimal efficiency rate and just immediately dismantle that. The other challenge, it's like 25,000. But still,
did they just add these achievements in the last update?
They
Because
did.
I've definitely done this one.
They did.
Okay, all right. Then I should be getting some of these pretty soon.
let me pull out my old calculator.
How about this one? Hang on. Finish the game in 8 hours. That's going to be fun.
Jesus.
Where? Is that one of the achievements?
Yeah, there is no spoon. Finish the game in 8 hours.
I can't imagine how you do that.
I've seen people do it in
like
2.
Yeah, I've seen the speedrunners who have done it in 2, and I'm just like, how?
Well, I did the math.
Let's see. Steam all the way. Win the game without using a solo
Oh, that's
panel,
me. Right here. Right here.
which isn't
This guy.
bad.
I won't get that one. Lazy bastard. Win the game by crafting no more than 111 items manually.
That's amazing. Okay, so I did the math. You would need to produce 417 unit advanced circuits per minute in order to get that particular achievement.
In other words, a dedicated factory.
You would need hundreds of factories producing just that.
All right, I'm gonna.
Plus thousands of factories.
Was
to
that
support
advanced
the
circuits
production.
or advanced processing unit?
We've gotten completely off track, by the way.
Well, there's one for each one. So there's one for producing advanced circuits and one for producing it processing.
Well, I
units.
think the processing unit one because a component of those is chips. So 15 is the second. So I need to divide this number by 4. You would need 105-ish factories to do this, making nothing but processing units.
I'm assuming at maximum efficiency.
Yep.
Like, you would have to keep them constantly supplied, which means that you would need support factories. Yep. Each one of them would require a dedicated factory building green processors.
Red, and then you'd have your sulfuric acid, and you'd also need to distill that into sulfuric acid and plastic, and that's your 2 uses for petroleum. So you'd probably be cracking down your oil from heavy and light down to petroleum in order to keep up with that demand, and then you'd have to be sure that that didn't get backed up. So,
good luck.
This is going to be fun. Oh, fish. There's an achievement. So long, thanks for all the fish. Have you found a single fish?
Yeah, do you not know how to get them?
Where? No, how do you get fish?
Just put an arm facing inland on the ocean.
Is it really that
Yeah.
easy? Wow. Well, fuck.
Well, okay, you can see them, like, there's someone around, but they're like little dots, and if you put an arm, it'll like reach in and grab a fish and put it in the thing. I'm gonna see what fish are useful for. I'm on the Factorio wiki. How did this become Factorio again?
I don't know.
It's
I don't
awesome.
I think Jared was looking at achievements.
I'm looking, so I was getting prepared for when I was going to talk about my stuff.
Actually, you just right-click them.
You right-click what?
You just right-click the fish. Like mining, like anything else.
Oh.
It has no use.
Not with that attitude, at least.
I think their stat says they have like negative 20 damage.
They restore 20 health.
So yeah, they're a healing item. So they have a use.
Well, yeah, but you heal now, whatever.
And also, I hear they're very useful for cutting down trees.
Okay. Rage, you can finish whatever you're talking about before I derailed us. I apologize. That was completely my fault.
Do you still want to talk about trains later after this?
I want to go play Factorio after this, so I suppose.
All right, I will give you a quick tour. Because Wells is getting on me. She wants to play some Blops after this. So.
Well, why don't you can... I mean, I've got all day off tomorrow. My wife is gone, so...
I don't. I'm traveling.
Oh. Okay. Well, we'll work it out after we finish. Rage, go ahead.
Are you sure?
Yes, go ahead. I swear. Go ahead.
So about Factorio... I'm kidding. Go ahead, Rage.
Well, that was the roundabout way for Darksiders. I still need to figure out what I'm going to replace that with. And no, it's not going to be Dark Souls.
Dark Souls 2.
And then there's Terraria, which we had an emergency recording of that hopefully is we're going to keep on track again. And the Sunday Sampler, which is coming out between now and when this comes out. It feels so weird to talk about the Sunday Sampler whenever I have one pretty much in the bag and another one coming up. And as always, I have no idea when I'm going to record there. But that's the fun part of that series, I think. I get all sorts of weird things, and some of them are actually even good. And I think that's about it.
Excuse me. All right.
And you could check all that out on Gaming with Caffeine Rage. Or you could see me tweet about being suspended from Reddit on Twitter over at Gaming with CR.
Right. Well, for me, coming up this week, actually, the first one of these is going to be, I believe I scheduled it for Monday or Tuesday, but I figured why not just do a full play of the Tumbleweed Express since it's so short. So I recorded an hour's worth of gameplay today, and I'm going to try and finish the game tomorrow and just get it all recorded. So I'll actually have an entire full play of a game on my channel. The first one of those ever. That all the way start to finish on something. I expect it to be probably 6 hours in total, 5 to 6 hours. I'm not sure if I'm going to go like full completionist or not yet, but at least beating the story. That's going to start coming out on my channel. And I've got some other gameplay stuff scheduled to come up, which I mentioned when we recorded the other day. That's going to still be coming, and I'm getting Terraria videos scheduled, so maybe I'll be caught up soon. Probably not, but maybe. And other than that, I don't have anything new planned, except for playing more Factorio, and maybe doing something with it.
Learn trains.
But I kind of screwed up, and because Steam Cloud occasionally will bite you in the ass when you accidentally save over something, and it's like, oh, I'll just recover it on my other machine. Oh, Steam has already synced. Fuck. And then there's no way to recover that if you use Steam Cloud. So that game where I was recording the whole game, it's gone.
Oh no.
Whoops.
So I've got like 6 or 8 hours of footage for a game that no longer exists. I'm going to release it as just gameplay and maybe use it for some background for something else that I want to talk about.
It's going to be on the podcast, isn't it?
It probably will be podcast background footage.
Okay.
That's probably what it will get resigned to. But it's, I've got it for something. It'll get used for something, but my thought of doing an entire playthrough with that is no more. But that's okay. As soon as the 0.13 update releases, which I don't think that this was the 0.13 update. I think this is just an update for mods and other stuff that just released.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, once the 0.13 update releases, I'm going to have to start a new game anyways, because they're saying, hey, this is going to break a bunch of stuff on your old game saves, so if you want to keep going, you need to back them up and keep an old version of the game. So I'm just going to abandon ship on whatever game I'm playing at the time and start over. So when that happens, is when I'll restart that process.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all my stuff. So if you want to come look at my stuff, you can do so on YouTube over at Gaming Psychologist. You can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707. You can follow me on Twitch at JArthur4707. And someone took me up on my offer. I'm assuming that, let me pull this page back up, that Jar263 is a podcast listener who added me on Steam. If not, you're just some random person. But regardless, since I put that up there, whoever wants to add me, I basically just add them now. So if you want to be my...
don't worry, the golden star will just wash right off.
So if you want to be my friend on Steam, come chat with me and watch me play games when I'm playing. You can do that, and my Steam username is jarthur4707.
Well, a word to the wise, if he's playing Factorio, he ain't gonna notice shit.
Actually, Chemist and I have had several conversations while I'm playing Factorio. I don't know if he just comes to watch me play because it's something to do while he talks to me, or if he actually likes to watch me play, but Chemist has watched me play for something like 6 hours at this point.
Damn, dedicated fan
Poor
base.
Chemist.
Yeah. Well, a dedicated fan.
Okay, dedicated fan base. Literally one fan, singular.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my stuff. Kyle, do you have anything going on for you?
Nope, I have a really small internet footprint. I'm going to be I'm just going to be away for the next probably about week with work stuff. So if you want to try and be my friend on Steam, I'm probably not going to respond to you right away, but my username is MICR, that one guy. Just look for it under J. Arthur or Caffeine Rage. I'm one of their friends. And
wait, you're under me?
Yeah. Right now.
Wink.
Right now, buddy.
Oh my.
Making a PMV.
Bounced on my boy's dick to this for hours.
What? Okay. And then if you want to follow me on Twitter and some of the inane shit that I say there, I am at Chocolate Audible. No E after the T, mostly because Twitter user restrictions. So yeah, that's me, and I have a very small internet footprint, like I said.
That's okay. You're here sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
And I mean, we're professionals.
So what does that make me? Semi-pro?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet.
Let me take a look at our stats right here, see if we've gotten any new views on our...
I did notice a couple new followers on Twitter.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of new followers on Twitter
I have as well.
I mean for the official account.
Oh. No new... At least nothing new since the last time I checked on the feed for Google Play.
But the Patreon tends to send out a very humorous email whenever you get paid. Or did you see that?
I saw it, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, you should go look at it.
What is this?
What's it say?
Oh, that's amazing. It's got a gif of the mask.
I can imagine which scene.
I wish we had, even though those are are those ones or hundreds? Hundreds. Yeah, I wish that we got that much money from Patreon.
Yeah, but it's all that, and yeah.
Anyways, Rach, you want to give the listeners our Patreon so they can give us the monies?
Yeah, even though they don't have to give us the hundreds, even though we would greatly appreciate it.
I would absolutely take a $100 bill. Absolutely.
I will mail you one.
Awesome.
You could find our Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/VGLpodcast. Or if you wish to just send us a request, even if you are not the Podfather. Unfortunately, you won't get the theme if you're not. You could reach us over at bglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters and voicemails. Or just tweet us at bglpodcast on Twitter. And if you wish to get the show notes or get the RSS feed if you're finding us on YouTube, you can find that over on videogamelogic.blogspot.com. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kevin McLeod, and you can find his work at incomputech.com.
And as always, as his wonderful music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Adios.
Bye-bye.